Peace to the flight family. You know, children aren't born knowing who to fear. They watch us, they listen to us, they even copy us. So tonight ain't about blaming one race or the other. It's about one question. What are we installing into them? What are we leaving them behind? Because every generation downloads the values of the generation before it, right?
Land your plane, land your plane, land your plane, land your plane.
Welcome. Thank you for boarding with Land Your Plane podcast. You are on flight 44, race system or hate system. First time flyers, welcome. Thank you for checking me out. If you like it, share it, subscribe, comment. Frequent flyers, flight family, welcome back. I'm gonna let my flight attendants introduce themselves.
Hey everyone, I'm Reese.
What's up? I'm Chris Gristle. Glad to be here.
I'm 34 and a half. I'm your favorite cousin from my auntie and uncle. I know you had.
Money bag extraordinaire. I put the money in the bag so extraordinaire. AKA Gemini. AKA Let's Get It.
That's Welcome all of y'all, man. How y'all feeling out there? Y'all good?
Good.
I woke up today.
We in the place to be.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, today we're gonna be talking about race system or hate system. Both systems exist. We're gonna see which one. Well, I know which one that I want to leave behind. However, we're gonna get our thoughts today and see what's going on today. Well, race. Let's start with race. Let's start with race. Reese, what are some thoughts or some words that come to mind when you hear the word race?
I think that it is something that's instilled in people based on what they may have seen or heard from the past. I think that, well, it's obvious. It's always been based on somebody's skin complexion. And that's what people grow up and they're taught. And it's hard to steer people from their beliefs of how they're raised. But I do think it's something that's instilled based on how people are taught. So if you grow up in a racist household, that's what you're being shown and taught. So that's what you believe is correct. So I think that a lot of times it comes from that.
Man.
Yes, sir.
Chris, what are some words or some thoughts that come to mind when you hear the word race?
For me, the first word that comes to mind for race is institution. I feel like it was just put in place as, I'm not even gonna say I feel like it was originally put in place as a means to categorize, and therefore, even if it wasn't originally to be divisive, the fact that you are sort of separating various peoples into various groups, you know what I mean? Which is basically what it is. Like, it's a genre for humans. You know what I mean? Once you start doing that, it's gonna start becoming divisive. Um, what I prefer instead is like culture. You know what I mean? I feel like culture is a lot more overarching. You know what I mean? There's more to it than just the skin color. There's more to it than just ancestry. You know what I mean? There's a lot more nuance when you think about culture versus just race.
Oh, that's where you laying. You finished?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Respectful. Try to use I land or I yield for the you the next person so they know.
Okay, gotcha.
Jen, what's some words
Uh,
you thought that come to mind when you hear the word race?
me? Hello?
Yeah.
Uh, when I hear about race, unjust. Um, uh, shit. Unjust. Like, that's the word. Unjust. There's no way around it. No matter what. Huh? Hello?
We hear you.
It sounds like somebody saying something. Yeah, yeah, unjust. I lay my plane.
Respectful. My bad. I'm trying to do a lot of shit behind the scenes right quick. Um, Dirk, what is the what are some words or the thoughts that come to mind when you hear the word race?
Misconception, misled, creation of confusion, uh, the natural feeling of human wanting to belong to something, um, lack of true identity, uh, not even to be very literal, but a losing situation because when we think of race, to me, we should only think of humans and animals. I agree with the person who said culture is culture. Culture has nothing to do with a person's skin complexion. I could be part of a person's culture. We come from the same block. We could have ate the same food. We could have stole chips out the same store as a kid. Those things are who we are. Your culture. However, that I think I have that joke I tell on stage. When you believe in race, it will inherently create a level of racism. Because if I ask you what's the smartest race, you most likely would pick the one you're a part of. Why would you pick another one? Why would you pick the other one? If there's a difference, if there's a inherent difference between who we are and who we ain't, I'm gonna pick who I identify as. It's like if you ask me who's smarter, men or women, I'm gonna tell you men are smarter. That doesn't genuinely mean that. It just I'm a man. I want to believe I'm part of the smarter system. That I'm part of this group of people who's smarter. So I think that is it to me the a fight that is needed would be ultimately to erase it, not to strengthen your bond in your race, but to erase the idea of it and realize that as long as we're fighting inside of it, we're fighting inside of a game that was created for us to play. We're playing their version of GTA. and they already got all the cheat codes, but we wanna agree and validate what those people are saying is right. If it's right for us to hate those people, why is it wrong for them to hate us? So I think that is just this thing of where we want to believe something because it's been said to us so much, it's been taught to us so much, it's been dragged through our heads. We done seen a million movies, we know this, we done seen this, we done seen that. And I'm not saying nothing that happened that wasn't wrong. I think that the best way to show that something is wrong is to no longer abide by it, to rebel against it. And a true rebellion will not happen within the system, using the same system ideas and methods that they think that you should be using. And I'm gonna land with that.
Some of the words that come to mind is two-parent family. Obviously, I mean, well, that's what a family is. But you got grandmothers, grandparents, and children, stuff like that. But yeah, two parents. Sex, obviously, take that. Culture, to highlight what Dirt said. Culture. I would say dance. Some reason when I think of race, I think of a dance. If I would told you to dance like a certain person, already in your mind you would try to imitate. You feel me? Somebody. If I said dance like an African, you would try to do one of the African dances that you would know. You feel me? Like this. So I always think of dance. Think of language. Obviously music. Every every people on this face of earth have their own type of music, their own mode, their own vibe. You feel me? That sets the tone for certain locations, certain places, and stuff like that. And obviously, if we're talking about race, then I think that it got to this point to where human laws, history, and social the so thing we're on social media, social network. You feel me? There's social things, social processes that have happened that led up to a thing to where people said that we don't respect these people as a race. Respect these people as 3/5 of a person, and I think that's still going on to this today. But however, with all of that happening, that's why we're at this point to where we have to identify. You feel me? What race is. Like, next word we're gonna move on along to is hate. Some of the words that come to my mind already is lynching. You really gotta hate a person deep down. Genetic annihilation of red, brown, black, and yellow people. Um, a couple other, but I'm gonna wait until y'all throw some out there. I'll come back around. Reed, what's some words, thoughts that come to mind when you hear the word hate?
I think that hate is such a strong word to use. Um,
Definitely is.
because you definitely have to have some type of passion behind that anger if you truly hate someone. Now, I think that a lot of times people confuse the word dislike with the word hate because, again, we're all human. Nobody is going to always like everybody. That's just something that is part of the society. But I think to me, when I hear hate, I hear like ugly, passionate, like you got some mental problems that you hate somebody that bad that you want to harm them physically. Um, and malicious would be a word that I would use. ill intent. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I would say. And I think that a lot of the times it is you know, it's easier to say that you hate something versus saying I just dislike that, or that's not really my style. But those are some of the words I think of when I hear hate, and I definitely think that um, if we're tying the two together, it all ties back to trying to separate people based on their skin color. So you're being brought up and taught that you quote unquote hate somebody that's not the same skin color that you have. Um, so I think that that's kind of where the word rooted from is what you're being taught, or to hate somebody who may speak a different language than you, or somebody who may have a disability. Um, so I don't think people truly understand the word hate versus the word dislike. And I'm gonna land with that.
Jen, what's some thought?
Uh,
Words that come to mind.
hate is in the beginning, we were minding our business and things happen. And for them to, make another history of our history, that's hate. And it boils down to that. That's hate. You took someone from some place and put them someplace, and wherever the case may be, a story, right? Now we can't just be us. You have to install in us your method of how we supposed to live. That's hate, and it's unjust once again. And now, you know, that's the bottom line. That's hate to me. And I land my plane.
Respectfully. Chris, what are some thoughts or some words that come to mind?
Um, so like for me in this sense, hate would come down to either fear or personal experience. Um, I feel like when it comes to race and people hating other races, and not just you know any specific race hating any other specific race, you know what I mean? Just that whole you're this skin color or you're from this area and I don't like you. I feel like it's based in either fear, where they don't know what to expect. They don't know these people. They don't know the culture. They don't know the language. They don't know. And so instead of educating, they fear. They're timid around it. They back away from it. They shy away from it. They tell their kids to cross the street, watch out, and clutch the purses and all that because they just don't understand. Or it's a personal experience, good, bad, or ugly. Sometimes people have things that happen with other races that may, generate some kind of trauma, that may generate some kind of fear. But either way, I think it's based in one of those two things. A lot of the times, people are really just. I really feel like people are just reacting to someone else and they're like who they are racially without being fully educated on it, and not even educated on the entire race, but even just this one person that you may be talking to. You know what I mean? You might have, let's say, you had a run in with somebody of another race, and y'all got into a disagreement over, I don't know, There's so many things you could get into a little stupid disagreement over, and then it escalate and turn into something else because two people didn't take the time and the opportunity to really talk. You know what I mean? And you don't know what you're getting, and so somebody react this way and somebody react that way, and a lot of the time I think it boils right back down to that fear. Like people, a quote from X-Men, Marvel Comics X-Men, a quote from that said, "People fear what they don't understand," and I feel like that's truer now more than ever. If you don't understand it, and that goes for really everybody. When you, especially if you're not versed in other people. You know what I mean? Especially if you just in your own little bubble, and then you go outside somewhere else. Why they act like that? Why they doing like that? Why they be like that? Why they da 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 da? And really, it kind of ain't none of your business. But beyond that, you know, people are people. And so instead of being fearful or timid or misunderstanding or angry about it, why not reach across the aisle, have a conversation, ask them how they doing, ask them why they, you know what I mean, who, what, when, where, why, and how, and see what answer you might get. It might surprise you. It might not have nothing to do with race, but you don't know, so you're afraid. So it's all them and those and these and I don't know. The other word is stupid, but we ain't gonna go into all that.
Respect. Dirt.
Land, my fault.
You go. Dirt. What's the
Yes.
word? What's up?
From hate,
Yes, sir.
ignorance.
Took my word. That's the word I just added that.
Complete ignorance. An example of that. But the best thing about ignorance is, unlike stupidity, is something that can be rectified. You can gain knowledge. I think it's definitely misplaced. I think I heard it was either Reese or somebody else who spoke before me who said the idea of hating. I think it's overused, because to me, if I hate somebody, I want to kill that person. I want to see that person I don't want to just see that person struggle. I want them gone. I think I said this before. I don't know if it was on this show. We was joking, having a conversation. I'm not the person that say I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. If I'm not wishing it on my worst enemy, it's because I don't want to waste a wish. I'm hoping that if wishes come true, I can wish for 100 million. But other than that, ain't shit. It's like I'm not wishing it on my worst enemy. If you're my worst enemy and I hate you, I want you dead. I want you out the way. So it's like when people say they hate each other or they do it, I think it's just a lot of time. That's why you see people getting these swastika tattoos and all of that, and next thing you know, they want to get it covered up, or they get it when they're in jail or whatever. It's like you got people doing these things, putting these things out, these ideas out, and really it's just misinformed because you don't really you don't even know the person you hate. Like I grew up in Queens, South Jamaica, Queens, in the projects, and hung out on something, and it wasn't even. And like I grew up in a culture where there was a lot of guard bodies, 5%ers, and they essentially, I'm not going to say they all hated Caucasian people, but they did have a disdain for those people. And they expressed that to me at a great level. They talked about the Yahweh theory, you know what I mean? Which is also confusing because when you think about the Yahweh theory, that's saying that, and that the African man is the original man, and that other people derive from them. Those are still our people. That's like me getting mad at my son that's bad. Yeah, I could be mad at my son that's bad, but he's still my son. It don't change it. So it's just like it's a joke that nobody gets to laugh at. It's a misplaced energy towards something that really you shouldn't even be giving energy towards. And the problem is inside these people's brains so deep, they can't rectify it because they don't know why. And like I said before, they want to belong to a place. They want to belong to a group. That's why you got gang members. That's why you got people who represent sports teams. I live in Kentucky and we don't have an NBA sports team. So everybody, and I live in Lexington, Kentucky. Everybody's UK. Everybody loves UK, or some people are from Louisville and they like the Cardinals because they don't have a Kentucky team. And I remember I was at this comedy show that, I think it was last Saturday. I was at a comedy show, and this guy was like, "Man, I love Luke. I love UK." I was like, "You went to that college?" He was like, "Nah." The fuck do you love UK for then? No offense to UK, but it's like, what do you didn't even go there. That's not your alma mater. And that's just like niggas love the Yankees and the Knicks, and shout out to the Knicks, they won their championship, but niggas love to join a team. They love to join a team. But really, it's just to be a part of it, just to give yourself an identity you can't identify within yourself. You don't know who you are coming into this planet. You don't know who you are. You allow other people to tell you who you are. You know, I'm heterosexual male. However, that's through my own life of knowing that. But really, I also been told that. Somebody tells you what you are and who you are, and you take those things on and you go, all right, that's what I am. All right. But I remember when we was younger and you was really into the more shit, and that always stuck with me. Colors are for inanimate objects. And I found out about the idea of why they even created the idea of separating us as colors in the first place. And that really left me with disdain. So I think that information, like really, when you realize that we as a people of high pigmentation level, were never identified as blacks until slavery. That's like, you wouldn't want to be called a black. You wouldn't want to be called a black the same way you wouldn't want me to call you a slave. You wouldn't want that. You would be turning away from that. You wouldn't want to hear the word black power, because that's basically saying slave power. But again, it's ignorance, and it's a lack of studying and reading, and people don't want to do it. They don't want to. I'd rather just listen to a nigga on the internet. And most people who's chucking this on who's supposed to be on our side, who is chucking these narratives, are just getting paid from it. I'm not here to shit on Dr. Umar for not putting the school together yet, because I know putting together any type of business could take a long time, and I'm assuming taking the school together could also take a long time, especially with all the loopholes. But however, how much money he made from telling you who you should not like and who you shouldn't fuck? Like, really, you worried about who somebody fucking? That's the worry? Who you fucking? Because it's like, yeah, you're like I said, we as a people, and when I say we as a people, I mean everyone should be just realizing the real issue we face against is classism. We got rich niggas and broke niggas. If you are a broke nigga, stop thinking you a rich nigga. That's the confusion. You're not. And when I say nigga, I mean you got a dick and balls. That's what I mean. So don't be confused thinking you rich when you really poor. If I'm poor and me and you on the same bus, guess what?
You poor too.
You're poor too. And why would we be?
My car's in the shop, man. My car's in the shop, bro.
Okay, if you was rich, you would have been able to get it out. So we both struggling, but we about to fight over this bus seat. We about to fight over the bus seat. When and then the bus driver want to fight us because we trying to get on the bus fast. He poor too. If you're driving the bus, you're poor. No offense to nobody working, but we're around. The reason you're around the people you are around.
Now, that's all facts.
The reason you're around the people you are around is because whether you get it or not, y'all are at a similar wealth level. He might got $1 more, $100, but you right next to that person because y'all ain't got it. Because if you wasn't, you would be on the airport, you'd be at a plane. That's the best way to describe it. And I'm not gonna go too long. That's the best way to think about it. When you go to the plane, you have what kind of planes? You got first class, economy, private planes. You got all of these different setups. A person that got a private plane ain't going through TSA.
Coach.
They going through their own thing. They got their own way to get in there. But that's what they ain't arguing about, you skipping them in line. But the two people who are both broke in that situation will be arguing about being skipped in line or taking the seat, or you got too much carry-on back. You need to learn. I think that it's ignorance because, like I'm saying, you don't know who your allies are and should be. And I'll land with that. My apologies.
No, you good.
Respectfully.
Get it out. Get it out respectfully. Anybody got any pushback? Any questions for him? Because I was gonna add to your thought.
I want to add to that. Like I like his whole the whole rant about if you broke or if you rich and you should know and everything. Like I feel like that's something that gets misconstrued a lot of times. And it kind of goes into the race stuff. But even without all that, I feel like that's a good root to a lot of it. Like there's a lot of people that, if you're not one of the 1%, Rothschild motherfuckers, you know what I mean? Like you closer to broke than rich. You know what I mean? Like we see people with 6-figure incomes every year that are currently struggling in the housing market or currently struggling in the stock market. You know what I mean? These are people that got money, or in my opinion, you know what I mean? Because I'm a regular degular dude. I got a regular job, and you know what I mean, shit like that. So a lot of people have it misconstrued, like, yo, I make $100K a year. Like, bro, we hell, the national average is what, 75K, something like that right now. You know what I mean? Like the average, like, so you not really
40, about 45.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably like between 30 and 40,000.
Damn, I
40.
thought it was higher than
No,
that.
the
national average.
men make 40, about 48, close to 50. Black man probably make 48. White man make 52 average. A average woman probably 38. White
Yes,
woman around
64,000.
64,000. Okay.
average income.
Oh well, no, that's at the national average salary in New York. I mean, in USA is 64,000. The national personal income is 45.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, but I mean, either way, you know what I mean? It's people right now that don't realize if you not Bezos, if you not Musk, you not rich. You know what I mean? You not wealthy like you think you are. You might got it. You might can own some businesses. You might got a private plane. You know what I mean? But like, there's a better chance that you in some kind of debt or you got something tied up in something else to where you can't just go and have your hands on the cash right offhand or whatever the case may be. And I think a lot of people get that misconstrued, and then that kind of rolls right back into the racism that comes with the ignorance. Like Dirty was saying, the ignorance of it, where you feel like, I feel like I'm above you in this way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? And because of that, I'm going to treat you like I feel like I'm above you in this way, shape, or form. When whole time, like you said, maybe you in a slightly better tax bracket than this person here on this end. You know what I mean? But if you're not way up here in the 1% to where you can buy and sell countries type shit every day, to where entire organizations are dependent on your company thriving for the entire world to keep moving. You know what I mean? Like if it ain't on that level, you working like everybody else. You trying to make $1 out of 15 cent, 25 cent, 135 cent, 2,000 cent, whatever the case may be. You still trying to smash your pennies together and turn it into something. And instead of you being like, yo, let me, I ain't even gonna say humble yourself, because I do feel like at some point you gotta pop your shit. You know what I mean? I feel like at some point you gotta believe in yourself. Let's keep it real. You gotta be confident. But at the same time,
not to cut you off, but who do I pop my shit to? That's
Right.
what I'm with you.
but
I'm with you, popping my
And,
shit.
and
I don't need to pop
wanna
my
add-
shit to my ally, my
Right.
potential ally. Yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah. I want to add something too, real quick. Okay, I used to go to. This is a short story. I used to go to the food pantry. Right, I'm hood. Go to the food pantry.
I've been there too.
Right. And I don't like, and it really makes me upset. Really does when somebody, and since you said you've been there, you've seen these cars pull up, and I'm talking about Benzes, Lexuses, Range Rovers. I seen this going to a food pantry. Now you want to cut the line. You feel me? Like because you coming out of a car like that, and it just doesn't sit with me. We're both at the food pantry, bro. I got the bus. You came in the car.
But
We're both in the same boat, bro.
right,
Piggyback go for mode. Dirt. We're both in the same boat.
the same
But you
boat.
feel like you obligated to have a extra gratitude because you got out the car.
Yeah,
And it just touched my nerve. Like I look at it like that's weird. I don't like that.
and I
We in the
think
hood.
that goes right back into what Dirk was saying. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
people on the
Yeah.
exact same level, but one got a little better car that they probably making payments on. Probably behind. If you at the food bank and you got a Benz, you probably behind on
Hello.
payments, man. Probably behind.
You might be behind.
Yeah, facts.
Hello. You see what I'm saying?
They
Do
probably
you
some
see what I'm
people
saying?
in
And the shout out to you with the car, but like it's no it's not necessary. It's not necessary to do
It's
that.
not.
It's just really, it's just making me sick.
But to go back to what Dirk was asking about popping your shit, I didn't necessarily even mean that to like brag to other people. You know what I mean? I meant that as in like at some point you got to believe in yourself. You know what I mean? Like successful people, there's a time to be humble and there's a time to be like, bro, this is what I can do. I know I can do this. I know I got this. I know I have this ability. I know I have this skill. I know I have developed myself. I know who I am as a person to be able to say what I need to say because I know I can back it up. That's really what I meant by popping your shit. You know what I mean? Like I feel like at some point, if you know you can back it up, and somebody is like, yo, you know who? I don't know who can hoop. All right, who out here can hoop the best? You know what I mean? And you know you got it. It wouldn't make sense for you to be on the bleachers like, man, I don't know, man. I might not be able to, man. Like, you might could, maybe it would, like, bro, go out there. Go out there, hit the goddamn court, bust the moves, you know what I mean? Show them what you got. And you might not actually have it the way you think you have it, but I feel like you got to believe in yourself at some point to be successful. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely agree with you. I wasn't thinking that you were saying. I was just pointing out a fact that when people do pop their shit, they popping it at the wrong people.
The wrong people. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
I agree with you. You should pop your shit. It's just you got to be confident in yourself. I believe in confidence. However,
But don't shit on
really,
people.
who you shitting on?
That's
Because
what I'm saying. Don't shit on people.
if I'm shitting on
Yeah.
if I'm shitting on people that I'm around that are really aligned with me, is that really shitting? Because I make 1,000 more than somebody. We both in the, like he said,
The
we
food
both
bank.
at the food pantry,
Right.
and I'm shitting because I got this chain on my neck. How am I shitting on you? Really? What am I wasted my shit. Hopefully I don't run out.
For real.
I don't know how much shit you got in your bag, but come on, you wasting it now. You giving it to you shitting on a person who you might need. Matter of fact, I might need you.
Yep.
We could be working together, so next month we ain't gotta be at the food pantry. But I already turned you into my enemy instead of seeing you as who can help me up.
And I think deep down, that's what the race shit is really. I think that's what it's really deep down about. It's to keep everybody at each other's throats and thinking
It's among us. It's among us. It's definitely among us.
Yeah.
We are our own worst enemy.
But that's what they intentionally do is like, I'm going to pay you a little more so you shit on this person and beef with this person instead of just paying everybody.
It's designed that way.
If you have a qualification and I have a qualification, we should get paid the same no matter what. If we're working the same exact job. And that's where society keeps you at bay to be racist because they're saying, oh, just because you have a different skin color than this person, you're making $20,000 less than this person is. And then now that person feels empowered because they're making more money.
Seniority. That's it.
Because I could be at a job for 1 year and make the same thing that somebody else with a different skin color is. We're in the same position. They've been there 5 years, but I walk in the door making the same that they've been there making for 5 years to make.
How'd you get to get more than me?
So it automatically creates that, oh, you're privileged because of your skin color.
This country was created on slave rules and mentalities.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what this country
You,
and
you
forever
got
and
to
ever
keep that.
like
Yeah.
that. We both will be
Yeah.
working at Taco Bell, and since you're the manager at Taco Bell, now you want to whip me because I ain't making tacos fast enough. bitch, we both work at Taco Bell.
Facts.
We not none of us. My bad. You can go.
No, you here. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, nobody's making more. We Taco Bell workers. Ain't nobody about to be pulling up in a Bentley. They're not gonna give you a stock in the company for you complaining about me about taco speed. But yeah, you want to. You go.
It just ties back to that where you feel empowered. So you feel now that because you're in a higher position, even if we both working at Taco Bell, oh, I'm the manager, so I'm better than you.
And that's
So
why
that's all it's designed to do is just keep
It,
people feeling like they're better than somebody else based on a position, based on skin color, based on how much money they make. And that until society realizes that, it's never going to change how people feel about each other because that's what's being shown 24/7.
it's really not called society. It's the people that's doing it.
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's not society. Is just the word.
I mean, we
It's
could say
actually human
society, we could
beings
say
that's doing it.
government, we could say whatever, but again, it boils down to until everybody, which is the people, our society, until we as people stop allowing them to poison us to keep doing that.
And this is where I think. This is where I
Go ahead.
think.
I think. Go ahead, bro.
Go ahead.
You got it. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, that's why they don't want us to talk like across the aisle, like at work. Going right back to Reese's example about having the same job but different pay, and they tell you don't talk about pay at work to your coworkers. Like that's one of the little unwritten rules or whatever. Because they don't want y'all to have that information and to be able to converse with each other and be like, okay, well, you making X amount more than I'm making. How can we come together and both of us make an equal amount? You know what I mean? Because then they can't put you against each other. They can't have you and Rhonda barking at each other behind the desk or, getting at each other behind each other's back in the break room. And, it's really about the division. It is really about keeping people off their toes, keeping people off center, off balance. You busy, you tired, you worried about your neighbor, you fearful about the person behind the counter up the street at the corner store, instead of you just talking to the people that you see every single day coming and going, and y'all can come together and make a plan and come up with ideas and concepts and really save your little part of the world, but they don't want you to do that.
Thanks.
I got one question for y'all, and then we're gonna go to commercial. Dirk mentioned ignorance, and I told you I had one more word to add to what comes to mind when I think of hate, and it was ignorant. Breaking that word down, I heard some of y'all thought. What is? Well, if I'm thinking, and y'all could disagree. Do y'all agree that ignorance applies for both words, hate and race, that we just broke down, gave our thoughts on?
Yes.
It's ignorance apply for hate and hate.
It definitely applies to both.
Okay. Now, my question to y'all is, so where does the ignorance stem from? Without saying, whatever on either race, where does ignorance itself stem from?
I'm gonna call it humanity, bro. Like this has been like this since the dawn of time. We have found ways to separate, to divide, to split. We found it to war, to battle, to argue. Like humans have been doing this before we even had races, set up like that. Like we act like we are like the pinnacle of the universe, and really we infants, man. You know what I mean? Like we are all toddlers that grew up and got jobs, bro. You know what I mean? And we think, we got scientists, we got astrophysicists and all that stuff, but like we really don't know what the hell we doing here. Like the smartest of us, the richest of us, everybody is winging it. Some people just winging it better than the other people. You know what I mean? And I think that's where a lot of the ignorance really stems from. We are people.
I definitely I want to say that. I ain't gonna cut you off, brother.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Ignorance is definitely that.
Yeah.
Thinking that you're above You're ignorant because no matter what, you're not in control. You
Right.
got a social security number. You got a social security number. You got a birthday. You got a name that's not titled to you. You take it on the master's vocab. So to say I'm better than, that makes
Right.
you ignorant. We both speak the same. We both, like Mo said, we both from the same fucking hood. We both work at Subway. You feel me? Don't be ignorant because this is. You say, guess what? You fire me and you do something wrong. Who's gonna fire you? You're the manager, the top, and move you right the fuck out the way. Now we are both fired, walking the same street, see each other, and be like, they fired me right after I fired you. Oh, you thought you was better than. Oh, you thought you had it. Yeah, what did you do wrong? Because I ain't do nothing wrong, and you fired me for no reason. Black on black crime, because you think you higher than me. I'm not using, you know what I mean, color in this situation, but I'm just saying black on black crime. You thought you was higher than me. That's ignorance. Where once again, let's keep it up. Let's keep it 100. When a black person gets that top notch, oh, he's in control. He think he can't be fired. You fire me, you do something stupid. Who gonna fire you? The people who own this shit. So stop thinking you own shit. You're ignorant in that aspect. That's what I'm saying. I land. That's what ignorant means to me, basically.
And I do think that ignorance to me kind of also is based on beliefs and what you're being taught versus facts and actual truthful knowledge. So, where are you hearing this? And are you actually, before you're becoming ignorant to somebody else or towards somebody else or towards a subject or whatever, where is the facts behind that? So I think that a lot of the times too, it's not based on facts. It's really just based on what you're being taught, and then now that's your belief now. So what else are you going to do? You're going to act based off of what you believe instead of based off of facts.
Yeah.
So if you're a child that's raised in a household and you're being drilled 24/7 that people that are African American and people that are Caucasian people are above African American people, now you're already in your mind, you have that belief. So now you're ignorant as you get older. You're just going based off of beliefs versus being based off of true facts and knowledge. Because that's what you were taught.
And I think that rolls directly into the topic of the episode in general. Like, how is are we sowing hatred, or are we sowing, like, culture and understanding and tolerance? And I really think, like, not, yeah, the people is society, but also like a lot of the messages that, like, the higher ups put out, that you turn on the TV, you turn on YouTube, you scroll down social media, like a lot of the messages are, it's hatred. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like if you talk to, again, if we talk to each other, you'll find out a lot more than if we just sitting in our own little pockets, looking across the aisle or whatever. Like, and I talk to people sometimes, and I've I've talked to Caucasian people, and they've told me, like, for some reason I always see this in my feed, no matter how many times I'm not interested, no matter how many times I block, no matter how many times I swipe away, no matter how many times I close the app, I still see at least one little thing that says something, disparaging about another race, or something
Mhm.
about ICE, or something about this, or something about that. You know what I mean? And that's not that individual person or even their immediate surroundings causing that. That's literally what message is being pushed out. You know what I mean? And those kind of discussions make me wonder a lot of the times, like, what part of my day-to-day algorithm, not even using algorithm just in the social media sense, but like, what in my day-to-day viewpoint, going to the grocery store, logging online, talking to my friends, what point in there is like forced or engineered or coerced? Like, what part of that is something that's created by somebody else? I think I don't remember who was saying it, but about how what we're told, you know what I mean? And I'm wondering, even as adults, how much of what we see, how we feel, what we think, what we view the world as on a regular day-to-day basis is something that we are told, and we think we formed our own opinions. We think we feel like this because this is how we actually are, but really somebody else has instilled that in us and told us, hey, you should feel this kind of way about this kind of people because of this. I ain't never had that happen to me. I ain't never seen that before. I ain't never witnessed that or experienced that. Well, somebody else has, and you should da 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 because of this. And it's like, okay. And like at some point, people start going, okay. Like people are very susceptible. People, adults are very impressionable, just like children are. That's why marketing works. So you really gotta. I feel like ignorance, going back to ignorance, stems from us just not talking, bro. Like we just don't have like this conversation that we having right now is eye opening, and it'll be eye opening for other people that are watching it. But it's so many people that are like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to hear you talk about that and tell me about that. Who are you to tell? Like, there's too much of that, and I think that's where the ignorance comes from.
Yo, and it's funny you say that. I just actually had somebody cancel and just said, I ain't gonna quote verbatim what they said in the text, but they just said, if you're talking about race and all of this, I'm mentally exhausted from that. I don't think I'm going to be able to make that show. I'll catch you next time. And I'm like, wowzer, good job, appreciate you. Though. However, yeah, it's an uncomfortable conversation, but it needs to be had. And I wish I would have had, other talking points, other point of views. So you feel me? Not so much bridge the gap. We ain't gonna come up with the solution in one episode, one night, 1 week. But like you, if what you said is true, ignorance stem from communication, then we need to start talking. You dig?
Well, it's
And
just something like I always hear people say, and it's something so small as this. Oh, I'm going to the hood Walmart, or I'm going to the Caucasian Walmart. You both shopping at a freaking Walmart. And I'm
I
sure
ain't
when
gonna
you
front.
walk into that Caucasian Walmart, there's other people in there that are not Caucasian. Just like when I walk
Respectfully.
into the hood Walmart, there's other people in there that are not African American. So it's something as small as that, and you don't realize that all you're doing by saying things like that is perpetuating that division again.
And
And
I
it's
mean,
like, but at the
again,
end of the day, a Walmart is a fucking Walmart.
nah, I agree. But even me, I know that there's certain WalMarts, depending on where you live at, that there's a certain Walmart that's way better than the other one across town, or the one that is located in the hood. You feel me? There's
And
like
and
certain
it's called different things. It's Sam's Club and it's
you could
Adams.
probably do you could do the
There's so
test
many other
yourself.
where yeah, yeah.
You could probably do the test
There's butcher
yourself.
shops.
But
Yeah,
it just goes
we don't
back to
shop
what
at
Mo was
we
saying.
don't yeah we don't shop at butcher shops where it's a high price and it's pure meat. You know that's what they say. Cut
I
from the
do.
animal
I
right
do.
to the. We go into Walmart. You feel me? So there's different Walmarts. That's what I'm saying. There's categories now. So Walmart's for the hood. A butcher shop is for upper class people. You see what I'm saying? So we are shopping at Walmart. We can call it whatever we want to call it. We're still at the same spot. But we ain't got the money to go to the butcher shop.
But see, that's
That's what makes it different.
I think that kind of that goes right back into what Reese was saying about just the connotations of it, because I live in what would be considered a project or the hood or whatever in the city that I'm in. Even though it's tame, it's quiet, it's chill. When you think projects, or when you think hood or whatever, when you think that environment, where I live is not like that. However, I can go to a butcher shop. Like I do go and get my stuff from a butcher shop. It's not crazy expensive. But like that goes into what she was saying. Like just because you are from here, or just because you make this kind of money, or just because this, that, and the third, doesn't mean like certain things. Yeah, might be outside of your reach, but if it's in your area, it's probably in at least relatively in your range. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna put the corner store where you can get to it and afford it versus versus I don't know a Benz dealership. You know what I mean? And I feel like just labeling stuff kind of makes it like you could say the good Walmart and the bad Walmart. You know what I mean? And that'll have the same notion as the hood Walmart and the white Walmart. You know what I mean? So I think what she's getting at is like it's other ways that we can label things and other ways that we can speak on things to not keep those same connotations. When you think when I ain't gonna say when I think hood, but when people in general think hood, they automatically gonna think black, and they might think
Yeah,
Hispanic,
stereotype.
right?
That's it. Yeah,
And that's
that's
what I
it.
feel like, and that's
And
why I agree with Reese about how we gotta change on connotations because hood can't automatically mean black. And I'm also with dirty to where black means slave. Let's keep it real. So like hood mean black mean slavery mean you know what I mean? Like I feel like that's where the talk really need to go. Like I feel like that's why we don't
I mean, but
we
yeah,
kind of
that
go in a
that that's
circle.
another conversation for another
Let me
time.
say
If we like,
one.
if
I mean, my bad.
go ahead, sir.
You asked. I remember the original question was, "Where does it come from?" And
Ignorance. Yeah, where does it stem from?
as a comedian, right, doing comedy or whatever, I know, and I'm not, and I respect it, but I get a lot of people telling you as a comedian. I was telling other comedians too. You got a lot of comedians who hasn't making it. I don't get to talk to Dave Chappelle. I don't get to talk to Eddie Murphy. You get to talk to comedians who haven't made it, who's telling you how to make it out. And I bring that in. You shouldn't joke like that. You shouldn't say this. Oh, you should do this, or you need to be doing this, or you need to be doing that. And you ain't make it. No offense to nobody. I ain't make it. But how I'm gonna really give you the breakdown of how to make it. And I think that's where it comes from. We got a lot of people who had issues growing up with race who's telling us the right way to respond, the right response to race and the idea of race when they didn't make it successfully. Because you got to think about it. If somebody really make it out, they're not telling their kids that stuff. They're not giving them the same ideas that a person who lives in the projects or who lives in the hood or who lives in a trailer park. They're not telling their kids the same shit. When they make it,
Right.
when they make a certain amount of money, they like, yo, let's say he owned a landscaping place. He's not going to tell him we only cut white lawns.
Yeah, yeah.
I just almost spit my drink out.
He's not going to say that.
You ain't see these
Some
dudes pulled
some
up.
of this sidewalk.
They pulled up to her house with a Confederate flag, and she came out and she was like, "Yeah, I no longer will need your services. Y'all have a great day." You see that?
I'm not saying everybody who owns a land company. I just was using it as an example. People
Respectful.
who are rich are not going to be telling people to perpetuate racism to maintain their richness. They're going to be willing to
And
work for
that
anybody. There are people who
and
are
that
rich. We get movies from people investing. You think we only get African American movies from people who are African American? You don't think no Caucasian people put in money for the movie when they think it's going to make money?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
I just,
I mean,
You
yeah.
think
now
not?
they do.
Not now.
Mm.
What are we? That's another thing too. It's our obsession with the past. I'm not saying you can't learn from your past, but nigga, we're living in today. Today is the most important time. Today is more valuable than our past and our future. Because today is the only thing that is not even promised is actual. We're
They all
so
tied
concerned,
together.
huh?
I said, aren't they all tied together? Yesterday,
No,
tomorrow, and today.
no, it ain't all tied together. Because
All right.
I could be smoking yesterday and start smoking today. So the fact that you knew me as a person who smoked cigarettes could be erased.
Yeah.
I can no longer be smoking cigarettes. So you still thinking about me needing a Newport, and you got a whole plan on how you gonna buy me some Newports or offer me something to get me to come to your house. I don't even smoke anymore. It's only tied together when you're not allowing yourself to, when you're not definitely changing. You telling me the person who you were last week is who you are today? and I should be treating you as the person you were last week or last year. I should be giving you the same respect or expecting the same from you. It was one time I ate pork. I don't eat pork right now. So somebody who thinks that my past is important, inviting me over for pork chops and applesauce or BLT is not realizing life. They're not appreciating it. No, it's only tied together when we want those chains to keep us tied. We need to break away from it and focus on what's going on today. I'm not saying that we should just completely, but we can't be obsessed with it.
Exactly.
It's more people. You could probably ask a nigga more about what happened in 1870 than what the weather is today. He know what happened in 1870. You're like, what's the weather? Oh, I ain't get to look at it yet. But you know what happened in 1870? It already happened. I can't change the past. I only can change my present to change my future. Yes, I can use it as examples. I won't be getting on any boats to go anywhere with no fucking body I don't know. I can use it as
That's right.
I can use it as an example. However, I can't be so stuck in it that I'm allowing it. Like, remember we talked about it on my show. Shout out to Hood Service Announcement. We was on there talking about that. And you asked me, would I let my son go on a boat with some white kids now?
Hell no.
I said I can't say no. I might have said yes. I can't say no because I'm not going to allow what happened to that person, loving condolences to his family, to perpetuate an idea of that means that's what automatically happens when people go on a boat with somebody. Because that's not real. How many people in between him and that did go on the boat and make it back? Did we count all of them? The ones who made it back? What happened to him was wrong. The people who are around him were wrong. But those people represent themselves. Let people represent themselves instead of trying to tie people in. And then you get mad when somebody do that to you. People hate stereotypes but perpetuate stereotypes. That is the most awkwardest shit I hate that I hear and hate. You don't like being stereotyped, but you want to stereotype others. You don't like being hated, but you want to hate others. You don't like people being prejudiced against you, but you want to be prejudiced against others. What the fuck is wrong? How the fuck does that work? You're making the system, you're helping the system keep going. You have to quit the game. You can't keep saying you don't like basketball, but playing this shit every fucking day. If you don't like the game, quit the fucking game. Turn it off. Don't think you're not going to win in their game. They already got the shit figured out. They already got the hierarchy explained. They know what to do to you. They know. They want you to be focused on the fact you was a slave. That's not your whole history. They want you to be focused on whether you got niggas worried about taking Rosa Parks on the bus. Shout out to Rosa Parks, disrespect to her. But you don't even take the fucking bus. Why do you care about the bus? What are you worried about buses for? And it's not even the same no more. You can sit wherever you want on the bus. So what's the point? How obsessed should I be with that? How much do I need to know? Do I need to know her real name? I need to know her whole history. I need to know about the lady that happened before her, who they didn't want to use because she got pregnant when she was out of wedlock. I need to know all of that. What the fuck is that? My rent is still the same. My phone bill's still the same. My light's still the same. My water's still the same. Nothing changed that I have that information. I need to be focused on trying to build shit today so I can change shit for my people in the future. And I land with that. My apologies.
And I think
cook, brother. Cook, brother.
Right,
Cook, brother. Cook.
But I think that's where these talks kind of fall short at, is exactly what he was talking about. Like, we keep going back over what happened already, what could happen, you know what I mean, versus what's actually going on. And so people start getting burnt out. Like your one guy you said didn't want to jump in because he was kind of exhausted of the topic. And I think that's why so many people are exhausted of the topic, is because we keep talking about MLK, Martin Luther King, we keep talking about Malcolm X, we keep talking about Marcus Garvey, we keep talking about Rosa Parks, you know what I mean? Instead of talking about what are we doing right now, today, to change our situation as individuals, as families, as friends, as communities. Like, what are we actually doing besides having these talks? Because we are having the talks. The talks are going down every day. The talks are going down daily, online, offline, in person, libraries, conferences. You know, it happens every single day. But like Dirk said, the rent is still the same, the water is still the same. Like it's a double-edged sword. You know what I mean? We have the talks, we do the marching. People get police brutality to death. You know, people get killed, not unalive. People get murdered. You know what I mean? Sorry, YouTube, but
Yeah, not unalive.
you know, that stuff happens. You know, but what are we actually doing? Like, what are we taking from that we can apply into direct action today? You know what I mean? In order to make a better place for the future, so the kids don't have to keep going through this. And I think that's where the second faltering we have is that we keep trying to make this stuff for now. This is the one part I disagree with Dirt. I feel like all of the time is tied together, because whatever we doing right now, eating pork, smoking cigarettes, fucking arguing about race, is going to affect somebody in the future. You know what I mean? Yes, this conversation that we're having right now, somebody is going to listen to it, and it's going to affect what they feel, how they think, and it's going to have an impact later on down in the future. It might not even be nobody watching. It's
On it.
might be somebody in your own house that's just listening in to you talking right now. You know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be. So I do feel like that is important, and I feel like if we're going to keep having these talks, it needs to be more future focused. We don't need to keep talking about what happened in 1964, 1968, 1972, 1984. We need to be talking about what's going to be happening in 2084, in 2099, in 2172. You know what I mean? When the kids are still, then the kids are taking over, because we're not going to be here to keep having these arguments. And I feel like we shouldn't leave it to where the kids keep having to have these same arguments too. And I land on
See,
Can I just can I
what happened. What happened was, and I'm not going to beat a dead horse. What happened was is that, and I love all my women, but they let them in where there's a man that's strong. I don't think I'm going more off topic, but I'm just painting a picture where the structure in the house and the man standing for something, and it's pushing the government away from. Now there's strong women who plays with you, right? The strong woman who plays with you that will follow the narrative and just want to see. I trust in them, and so I so for you, whatever, right? So it's taking the strength away from the actual thing. So our kids now are doing what the fuck ever. Our kids now is doing what the fuck ever they want, which loses the what we're talking about is the insight of losing control. We lost control when um, our women let that happen. Only for the strong man who wants to, you know what I mean, have his own and do his own thing and start from the ground up, right? I hope y'all don't hear that. But
we do?
I lost my
Yeah, they
train of
hear
thought.
it. All you can hear it. All you hear is
Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Niggas right here. I'm sorry, y'all.
I want to address
I lost my train of thought.
Mute up,
respectfully.
mute up.
I want to address that one thing that I did say, and I didn't take. It is all love. About the past and the future not being connected, right? I don't. I think our past is what you're referencing to. Our future and our presence is connected. Those are that's our past. That's our life, not Frederick Douglass. Shout out to him. That's not us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's not us. No offense to him. Shout out to him when he did and all of that. That's cool. Not Martin Luther King. Shout out to him. That's not our past. When I say
They're
our
not talking
past is not,
about Umar's uncle or great grandfather.
yeah. I'm just giving. When I said that, that's what I meant. You get what I'm saying? No, you feel me, no, Chris? That I should have been more clear. Our past is connected to us. Our present is connected. Our future will be connected to that. But we're so concerned in trying to connect or be connected with everybody else's past.
Yeah.
Not ours. Me growing up, that's my past. Where I grew up at, that's going to be connected to my present day. That's going to be connected to my future. Those things is all, they're tied in. But no, I'm not connected to Denzel Washington's past. I don't know that nigga. No, and he's a great actor, but I'm not connected to that. I didn't live that life. I'm not connected to Rosa Parks' past. I'm not. I don't feel happy about it. It's not like I'm just not. I'm connected to my own who I am. And that's what I meant. My apologies. I just want to make sure I get that clear. That's when I said your past, no, we're not connected to them. I'm not building pyramids. I ain't even been to Africa. I'm not connected. I can't be connected to them like that. I can have a love for them because of culture. However, I don't even like sand. What am I doing in the desert?
The only thing we have to deal with is what was transformed. And so what happened until now. Shout out to Dirk. Now it's how do you get the change happen? And it starts with what you created. It starts with what you created. You want to send them to school or you want to do homeschool? You feel me? They're going to get lied to or they're going to get told the truth. Now what happens is that it doesn't usually work out that way because they don't want you to know your history or what it is that you came derived from, right? So, like Dirk said, that has nothing to do with us. It's what I could do right now. I land.
Absolutely. Question y'all just asked is, we got to go to commercial right quick. Chris, the video you sent, it was a flyer, or you want to give a quick shout out? Commercial.
Oh yeah, I mean it was a flyer, but I got my flagship. I got my flagship event, Gristle Land Live, coming September 11th, Greensboro, North Carolina, 1333 Grove Street. It's a real life event. My whole program is about bringing back good classic underground hip hop and getting people off the algorithm back into underground rooms. So we got a dope venue. It's worthy of a Wu-Tang Clan video. Good, cool underground spot, and we just gonna live it up, man. I got Soul Relief Records coming from Greensboro. They bringing some records for people to come and to dig the crates, and it's good for older hip hop heads. Like we got seating and we play, like MF Doom and shit like that. But it's also good for like younger hip hop heads that maybe didn't get a taste of the old school vibe. You know what I mean? Like if you 25 and you didn't get to catch the 90s or the early 2000s or whatever, you can still get some of that vibe in my event. So September 11th, 1333 Grove Street, 8 o'clock. Tickets available now, gristleland.com. Appreciate y'all.
Sure, tap in. And y'all asked, y'all said we gotta stop talking and we gotta do something. Like, what are we doing? What are we gonna, leave behind? And that's why I created the race system. So after these commercials, y'all gonna help me break it down, and hopefully next generation can work with that, man.
Hot damn, jumping fresh out of the pan. This your Jimmy, this your jam. Shut up, bitch, that ain't your man with me. Going wham, going crazy with the fam. Wipe me down with your hand. You can't stand me cause you niggas just can't stand with me. Tina Ann with me, Joe Blow. Mighty Joe Young, stunting on you stupid hoes. I hit the block and pitch it like a Super Bowl. Fuck the competition, not that you would know. Trust the composition, I need two of those. Sour persimmons, no need to approach.
You're playing podcast.
Land Your Plane is a show where truth takes off and accountability lands. Guests face honest questions about love, loyalty, relationships, ego, family, and the conversations most people avoid. Want to be a guest or bring family on? If you have a story, unresolved conversation, relationship question, or truth you're ready to face, we want you on the show. Apply here. and somebody will get back to you or comment. Ready to land. Clear the runway.
Shorty on a whole different time than I am. She want me to be her man, but she don't understand this. Get fucked up my brain. Shorty on a whole different time than I am. She want me to be her man, but she don't understand this. Get fucked up my brain. Shorty on a whole different wavelength. I don't even wanna say shit, but I gotta keep it real. I ain't never been the one for no fake shit. Since I'm a star, making that gon' take sensation. She don't understand, I need space if I'm tryna pull up in a spaceship. See, when you're worldwide, you don't always have time to be by girl's side. And seeing other girls like my stuff that could mess with girl pride. Can't be stoned on social media if I'm not so sure about what I want and I need. I've been vocal, I ain't tryna provoke you, but we're not on the same time if you're local and I'm global. I got motion, so can't answer my mobile. Shorty on a whole different time than I am. She want me to be a man, but she don't understand this. Get fucked up my brain. Shorty on a whole different time than I am. She want me to be a man, but she don't understand this. Get fucked up my brain.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome back. If you're here,
That's my joint.
Yeah, subscribe. Shout out to my guy.
That's my shit.
It be like that though, Jim. Sometimes you hear songs like even Nooch has done that to me too. Like you hear a song for a commercial,
real shit.
and next
That's my
when
shit.
it be coming back on you, like, oh, hold on, I like that.
I do. I really do. I really fucking do.
That's it, fire. Yeah, Chris. Yeah, both we gotta check each other out, man. We all got some music and some musicians on the panel today. Definitely check each other out. And if you definitely patronize all my patrons. Check out Chris. Gristle, he's gonna be in North Carolina. Check out Dirt. He online. You feel me? Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to part of the show where this is what I want to leave y'all with. I created the race system, and y'all gonna help me break it down. We're gonna start with R. Respect every person. Respect isn't pretending everyone agrees. Respect is recognizing another person's humanity before judging their opinion, politics, race, religion, or background. Respect is Respect is the starting point, not the finish line. My question to y'all is, Reese, we'll start with you, is how do parents teach respect before children encounter prejudice?
Oh.
That's a good one.
Before they encounter prejudice. I would say, like, we raise our son to say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, thank you. And it's to anybody. It's not, we don't teach him specific, like, groups of people based on, like, we just teach him those things. And we teach him that you don't judge people based on their skin color, the language they speak, if their hair might look different. That's a good question. Because I feel like even when you're raising children at home and you're trying to teach them the correct things, they go to school and they're learning maybe from friends that are not being taught the correct thing. So it's like, I know that my son has came home from school before and said some stuff, and I'm like, where did you get that from? And he's like, oh, my friends at school. So then it's like, I try to reteach what I want him to know and how to act and behave based on what's correct versus what his friends may be taught. And like, we live in a prominent, like, Caucasian neighborhood. Majority of the people in our neighborhood are Caucasian. So he has little friends outside, and I've heard them say things to my son that I'm like, why are you letting them say that to you? And it's based off of, oh, your hair is nappy, or um, why do you have a white mom and African American dad, or you're the N word, or so I have to teach him that you don't be friends with people that are going to talk bad about you in those ways, because obviously that's not your true friend, because if that was your true friend, they wouldn't do that to you. So I think that even know what you're teaching at home could be the correct way to like steer and curb the prejudice. They're being taught that in the community when they go outside, when they go to school, when they go to the supermarket, the mall, the pool, wherever. They're still being taught other things based on other people's beliefs. So I feel like no matter what you do at home, they're still going to be exposed to prejudice. I didn't probably say that correctly, I don't think, but they're going to still be exposed to that because in society, again, other people aren't being taught differently. So, like, one thing biggest with my son is I tell him, he asks me all the time, "Oh, mom, you're white." And, Dirty the other day said to him, "That's white," and put my arm next to a shirt. And he's like, is mom that color? And he said, no. And then we did it with a black shirt and his arm, and just little things like that to keep him on the path of that you're taught in other places, black, white, Mexican, whatever, instead of just people are people. So, I mean, at home, we do our best to curb all of that for him. And again, I try and teach my son that there is not colors, people are people. We try and teach him that, again, people have different hair textures. That doesn't mean that you're different from somebody else because your hair might be darker or more curly. We try and teach him those things that are going to hopefully in life as he goes on, that's what he's going to, forecast to other people. And I'm going to land with that.
Exactly. Chris, we'll
Let
go
me
to
go.
you. All right,
All
Jim. You know the question? Or you wanna?
Ask it again. I got it, but just ask it again.
How do parents teach respect before children encounter prejudice?
In certain words, I'm gonna piggyback off my sister, right? And I like that analogy: white to the white t-shirt, black to the black t-shirt. I like that, right? But I did say homeschool because I don't want my kid lied to. And when you do that, you're going along with the program. I do not want my kid lied to. So I would definitely prefer homeschool as much as anything. Now, in the world we live in, that's called shielding your child. No, my child's a regular child, in and outs. But what I'm installing in the house from day one is this is what it is when you go outside. And a lot of our parents shield, but then they go to school and learn sex education. Then when they come home, this is what I was taught. You're shocked, you're surprised, and then you gotta go for what they say and somehow let it coincide with the school so they can get it. There's only one way for the child to get it, and it starts from you, mother or father, both. It really does start with you. So I always wanted homeschool, and because you're not when you're brought up how you was brought up, right? Your parents is good, you know, respect. But if your parents is like not rich, then you get that half. And we were shielded. We were whole together. Yes, there was family all the time, every time. But outside of that, like the first time I sold fucking drugs, bro. I was on some. I mean, I seen it around me, but actually, fucking, it was a whole world out there that I loved. Now I'm pretty much sure if I was taught, because I had friends that was the opposite of me that got taught, but we still, you know what I mean? Like Dirk said, we lived in the same hood, so I seen my friends with both parents, and you know, the cars in the nice house. I'm not saying I didn't have it. I'm just saying that I seen it. I was I was I was shielded from that. So I want to start within the home because the teaching is necessary in the home. It has to be because because you're the product of your parents. And like we all do, we don't want that shit for our kids. Right? So uh just don't let this. You send your kid to school, send your kid to school. You know, because now you got to send your kid to school, or else the kid can take in CPS coming. If you do, it's just not, you know, sidebar. But as much as you can, teach your kid no holds bars inside the home. I land my plane.
Can I ask a quick question before the next person goes?
To me, or just the
Yeah,
panel?
I just have a question because now, do you think that shielding your child from that is going to really help being when they walk into society, they're not going to be prepared for what's going on outside of your home?
Right. So I don't think that I'm a product of it. I can't think what I'm a product of. And so what I wanted to do, and they know it, I want homeschool. Because I can't shield what is going on outside. I just can't. Then they come home, you lied to me. Now you gotta lie because you lied to the kid. And then the kid is 19. Nigga, I already know what all this is when I was 13. Too late. How does that make you feel? Right? You don't want that feeling. It hurts. I'm not saying I did it or the panel done it. I'm just saying we know people that been in that situation where the kids say, you lied to me. What else you lying about? And then they take on that. It's 2023, 2019. They took on, my parents lied to me. This shit is popping out here. Why'd they hide this from me now? It's just like the cursing. And no one agreed with me. You know, they got one brother that's on this panel that no, I wanted to curse up front because what are you hiding them from when they go outside and hear it? My parents told me not to curse. Now you're an outsider. Now you're not with the program because outside of home, you got to pick and choose where the fuck you gonna be at. You in or out? If that answers your question.
Also, to add to it, I would say even if you just homeschooling them, there's things that you do besides the homeschool. If in every city they've always got a little Italy, Chinatown, or you feel me, a little separate town where people are doing them. And they have their own little events, parades, and stuff like that. So this is the time where you take them. I'm now, you feel me, taking them to Little Italy where they're having their little fest cooking, introducing new dishes, pronouncing new names, meeting new people. Da, 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 da. So there's things outside that is more because we want to make sure what is going into the mind of our child or your child that you try to control it. You can feel me prevent
Let me
whatever he's
piggyback off of
about to
that.
experience. Yeah.
Let me piggyback off of that, bro. In school, if you're gonna take French or Spanish, you can't do both. In home, I don't know it, but I know I can, you know what I mean, get some video tapes and shit to make you learn. I want you to learn everything. You go in the Mexican store, you go in the Puerto Rican store. You don't know what the fuck they're saying. At least at home, I can give you an insight what the world's gonna do to you. That's my point, right? It's a fresh brain. Your kid's fresh brain, your thought is to send them to school. You're gonna teach them how to behave, don't touch the hot plate, and don't do this and don't do that. But then they go to school and like I said, the sex education. You had a chance to tell them. You had a chance to tell them everything. I'm not saying you're not doing it. I'm just saying some parents wait, but send their kids to school at 8, 9, where that's being presented. I remember going to school. There was sex education. There was a dare. You know what I mean? There was programs where I had to learn this way instead of, you know what I mean, having the truth brought to my attention first, so I can know how to go outside and accept. Seeing a fucking crackhead outside and seeing all this other extra shit and all that how they do it and all the, I was amazed. You know, where the fuck was what? And you know, my upbringing wasn't right, but there was drugs involved. You know, it was high. It was. We in the crib, nigga. Not outside. We in the crib. And I learned early, but when I went outside, I started to know how to maneuver and do things. So I decided to get money. Let's get it.
Exactly. Derek, what's how do parents teach respect before children encounter prejudice?
How do parents keep respect before children encounter prejudice? Is the question. All right. Active parenting. Active. I'm guilty of this myself. We're lazy. I'm lazy. I'm lazy throughout my life. I'm lazy in a lot of different ways. I'm a lazy parent. You know, whether they go to school, whether I want to do homeschooling, I'm lazy. I want to do, I still got a life to live. I still got to work. I still got shit I got to do. So when I get a break, I'm running. I don't want to be active. And that's what it takes is an active enforcement of whatever knowledge I have onto my child. And letting them know that this world is full of tricks. And that don't mean you got to be fooled by the magicians. You can learn. You can be different. You can grow differently. You can speak differently. You don't have to be sucked into it. But what we need to not do is perpetuate or enforce or ingrain the misconceptions that we ourselves possess and that have affected us. I don't need to tell my son my son needs to listen to police. I'm not justifying any police killings or not. I'm not, but I need to tell my son that. Not because the cop's white, not because the cop's black, not because whatever. Listen to when police come around, listen to them. I don't want you to have, because assumptions is what creates all the issues. Because when he's looking at this person as his enemy, that the police have came and they hate me because of they think I'm a race or whatever. Now I'm rebelling. I'm a tough guy. I'm a teenager. Now I want to be tough. And I'm not saying everybody who ever got killed by unalived by a police officer was responding in a negative manner. But all I could do is tell my son, hey, when the cops are there, you're not doing nothing criminal. The best way to behave is just to let them do their job. To put the things down and put that information within my child and not put it into something of trying to follow the narrative that is being expressed on the internet. Not just being a bullhorn. Matter of fact, having my own sense of what I think life should be in general. Not most of us are bullhorns. We're regurgitators. We're just throwing up what's been fed to us. And we don't even realize the reason what we throwing up and why, when we throwing it up and why and how. This person's against you. This person's for you. Oh, you have to just know what you got going on, what you want, and what you wish somebody really would have told you. and then tell that to your kid. Think about all the shit that you was told that was really bullshit, and then tell them the truth. This is the truth. This is the reality of the world we live in. The reality of the world we live in is that the history of people was there was a chitlin circuit when people wanted to, like my man right now, throwing a show trying to get people back to underground rap. Shout out to him. But there was a time he couldn't have thrown that show, right? Jay-Z couldn't have performed at Madison Square Garden. People hate Jay-Z, whatever. He couldn't have did that. He would have had to be performing on the chitlin circuit. So I'm not going to tell my son he has to be thinking about the rules of the people who had to. I'm letting him know that if you make good music and you put the money in, invest in yourself, you can make it. Not that the man is going to stop you from making it. The only man that can stop my son from making it is him, the man he's becoming. That while everybody else wants to present the picture of being your enemy, you are your own worst enemy. Don't allow these people to trick you and make you believe something that's not real. Yes, he will have friends. He does. Who I don't believe in everything they do, but we all have friends who I didn't like. That I didn't, our parents probably didn't like what they going to tell us because they got lazy parents. My son knows he can't go outside into 12. I didn't make that up myself. I got that from my parent. Shout out to my mother. But when this summer out here first started, you think there wasn't kids knocking on the door at 9 o'clock in the morning telling my son can he come outside? Lazy fucking parents. Why the fuck?
I just want to shout out. The kids because I see a lot more kids going outside, running around, knocking on neighborhood doors, riding bikes than we've seen in the past 10, 15 years. So I love seeing all the kids back outside, popsicles and ice cream trucks and all that shit. I like that shit. But that's all I want to say about that.
And I'm not mad at it, Chris. I'm not mad. I'm just not. Don't come to my fucking door at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, ringing the doorbell. My son can't come out to 12. That means he ate breakfast and lunch.
Why they didn't just text his phone, call his cell phone?
Because they lazy. They parents probably ain't pay their fucking phone bill. Every kid that got a phone ain't on. They only can text from the house. They can't even leave. No offense to them. It's a joke. They just rather the kid stay busy. They don't want to keep the kid busy. They rather the kid stay busy. And you have to be active. And we need
wasn't there just something with Roblox, if I'm not mistaken?
I was doing that shit. You know what's funny you brought that up? No movie, Jim. I was doing a thing with my son about stranger danger, right? On a deeper level. And I was using Roblox as an example. I was saying, what if somebody walked up to you and told you they wanted to buy you a Roblox Robux card? The Robux. That's what it's called, Robux.
Yeah.
What if they wanted to buy you that? What would you do? He going, I'm going to tell him, nah. I said, what if they said they'll give you the card? They got it right there, they give it to you. I'm going to say, nah. I said, they might give you the card. That don't mean they're going to kidnap you that day. They might be building. Yeah, they could be building trust with you.
They're building trust. Yeah. I got you.
Here, take this. You ain't got to go to the store with me today. Here, take this card. I got this card. My nephew is out of town. Here, you can have this card.
That's the deep part about it. Real shit. He's building trust with you.
But it's having those conversations. On that day we was having that conversation, we had walked to a chicken place around here, and we went there and did lunch together. I probably should take him to lunch more. If I was, you know what I mean? We are people, and like I said, it's the biggest answer, and I'll end with that is being active. Not letting TV raise your kids, not letting the internet raise your kids, not letting their neighborhood friends raise your kid.
Is it safe to say? I know. All right, you said lazy parent, but what you're saying now is that Would you do it? Homeschool?
Would I
But
do homeschooling?
without being lazy.
Would
Would
I
you
be
would
doing?
you
Would I do homeschooling?
and
Yes
I don't
and
mean to
no.
call it
No,
homeschooling. I'm just
no,
calling it
no,
like
no.
that's what they're calling it now.
I think there's
Homeschooling.
benefits. I think there's both. I think there's benefits in both markets. I think that there's benefits to doing homeschooling, and I think there's some benefits because when COVID happened, we can't. When the pandemic happened, we were basically doing homeschooling. He was working on a computer. They was giving him about 2 hours worth of work. I had a printer.
Respectfully.
I was printing stuff off the computer. You're gonna do math. We're not
Was
just
you
doing
was
this.
you was you was you active? Did you get in tune with it? Like, oh shit, I'm missing this. I'm missing this. Like my son is this smart. You don't know how smart he is because he's learning something from somebody else. You feel me? So as
I
you
was I was
as
heavily active. I was heavily active, and I believed in him.
respectfully.
And
You
I
see what I'm
was giving
saying?
them a lot of. I think that. All right. Let me say this to you.
Do you see how much he was missing out?
Well, let me
Like
get it. Let me hit.
my daughter is really
No,
smart.
no, I
Holy
get.
shit.
I felt like that. I taught my son a lot. I taught him how to count. I taught him his ABCs. I taught him how to write his ABCs. I've done whether he went to school or not. But I'm saying that I
That's
think
it. That's all.
honestly, I think that to me, in an ideal world, it would be a complete mix of both. Just because your kid is going to that place and getting that information, again, lazy parenting. Oh, he's good. No, when he comes home, I can still teach him Spanish and French. I can still do that. Matter of fact, maybe they did one already in school. So now the one he couldn't take, I could be teaching him that. Instead of thinking it has to be one or the other, I think that the real best combination would be both. Not
Thank
just
you.
homeschooling, not just going to the school. It would be a good combination of both. Of you saying, oh, you're home now, and they didn't give you homework? Well, don't worry about it. I got a thing for you to do today. Here, do this.
They
Because
got to identify with everything that's out there. That's what
but but
everything
it's
that is
easier to
Spanish.
but it's
I'm
easier
sorry.
to just no, you good. It's easier to just give it to them and,
Yes,
and just back those people up. It's easier to do that. He going to school, do what they tell you to do. It's easier. So I think that to me, if you ask me what my true thing would be, the best thing would be to do a healthy mixture of both, and I'll land with that.
I agree with you. I land. I agree with you.
Chris, how do parents teach respect before children encounter prejudice?
So my son lives with me as well, and I think the base of my teaching to him, as far as dealing with just people in general, not even racism or any of that, but just mankind, is to know himself. You know what I mean? I feel like he needs to, and I feel like everybody kind of touched on this a little bit. And I know I missed a little bit of it. My little bathroom break took a little longer, um, but I feel like everybody touched on this a little bit about, especially for the guys, knowing who you are. You know what I mean? Knowing what you represent, knowing what you stand for, knowing what you believe, and knowing how things feel to you. And so from there, I just take it as, okay, you know how this makes you feel, right? You know what you think when somebody says this to you or when somebody treats you this kind of way. So you take that into consideration. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. Now, conversely, I also teach him that with having your own mind and, knowing who you are and all that, you got to be ready to stand up for yourself. You know what I mean? Everybody ain't going to just be cool. Like, go through the proper channels, be kind to people, be respectful, treat people like people. You know what I mean? Just because somebody got more money than you, just because somebody got less shoes or whatever the case may be, more or less, that don't make them more or less of a person. That don't make them more or less of a human being. You know what I mean? That go right back into what we were saying about how people get a little Bentley and forget that they at the food bank. You know what I mean? They get a little suburban house and forget that they ride in the bus type shit. So I try to keep him grounded. I feel like being grounded is really where respect really starts from. And then with the whole prejudice thing, like, I really treat it in the same sense of self-defense. I don't sit around like, yo, man, you got to beware of white people and da 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 da. I'm just like, look, if somebody come at you a certain way, be prepared to stand up for yourself. Be prepared to stand on business. If somebody come at you and treat you like nigger, you know what I mean? Be prepared to stand on business and handle what you got to handle as a man, you know, in order to stand up for yourself, in order to take up for yourself.
Can I ask you a quick
Um,
question? Would you
yeah,
teach
but
him to walk away? Would you teach him to walk away or stand on 10?
for me, that comes down to discernment. You know what I mean? Everything ain't about punching the motherfucker in the face. Everything ain't about escalation. Everything, but like for example, I live in like a southern rural area. You know what I mean? And I ain't had like no crazy racial experience as far as like, you know, getting cornered or getting yelled at or no shit like that. But I have had somebody, you know, hit me with the N word, and I was at work. And in that situation, being at work, and like you saying, like you gotta handle business, you gotta pay bills, all that good shit. You know, it's better to probably eat it than then swing off on the motherfucker. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, there's consequences. Somebody say something, you react and hit them or something like that. Now you in the unemployment line trying to figure out how to feed your kids at the food bank. We're going right back to the situations. You know what I mean? But at the same time, assault is something different. Don't let nobody just put your hands on you. Don't let nobody run down on you. Don't let nobody grab you. You know what I mean? Shit like that. Like there's a difference between verbal and self-defense. You know what I mean? But always take up for yourself, even if you got to talk shit back. You know what I mean? But I feel like the punishment should fit the crime, I think, in this situation.
For the
But
panel, real quick, for the panel, would you want your son to react off of words?
no. Or if he did, I would want him to react with words. I feel like it's a weakness if somebody say something to you and your first response is to go physical. You can't handle somebody talking to you. You can't handle words, sticks and stones and all that good stuff. Like, but at the same time, I'm not saying be quiet. I'm not saying shy away in the corner. I'm not saying be silent about it. You know what I'm saying? When I face it, I still spoke up, but I'm not gonna go straight to escalating just because somebody said something. That could be somebody, even if it ain't racial. If somebody just like, oh, you fat, I'm gonna fight every nigga that call me fat. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So, but I feel like even that come down to knowing who you are. Like, everything ain't worth you. Everything ain't worth a risk. Every
That
single
was for
thing
the
that happened
panel.
every day ain't worth a risk.
My question's for the panel.
Sure.
Respectfully, bro. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to hear everybody's take.
Sure.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Do I want my son to react off of words? No. I've been the ignorant person who did that before. I was ignorant. I reacted off of words. I want my son to react off of actual defense.
The situation, right?
Not somebody just saying something. Not nothing. I don't want him to be disrespected completely, but I also want him to know that just because somebody called you a word like an N word or somebody called you ugly or fat or whatever, it says more about that person than you. And that,
Right.
and one thing, and you know what? I learned this. A lot of times we have this match energy pre idea of matching energy. But why would I match energies with somebody who doesn't have the same goals as me? This person doesn't have goals. Because if they had goals, they probably wouldn't have time to call you a name. If they had something they was working towards, they wouldn't have time to do that. When I'm working towards shit, I don't have time to call nobody no cracker. I don't got time for that. So I'm assuming if somebody's working towards something, they don't got time to call me a nigga. And that to me is like the most pettiest fuck. Like really, yo, me and Nooch, y'all already know. This is that's one of my peoples, man. We was growing up together, son. We wouldn't even be able to make jokes about each other that was the same. we had to change our jokes up for people to laugh at us. If you made a joke about my teeth, nobody want to hear that joke no more. They done already heard it. You made a joke about somebody being fat, then they fat. Nobody want to keep hearing that.
Yeah.
He's fat. Yeah, we get he's fat still. You know, you get clown for that. You get clown for that. You know, it's been lax more. We adults now, but it was like you always had to have a new joke, something that might not even be as personal. So if all you could think of is to call me a nigga, or that's, and I want my son to feel that thing. If all you could think of is that, all you could think of is to call me dirty. All you could think, that's all you could. All right.
What else you got? You know what I mean?
Are you going
to touch nothing more? I respect
you about to touch me? Because if you touch me, then yes, right. I have to defend myself so you don't hurt me.
Exactly.
That's a defense. But if you just talking, I can walk away. That's what I want my son to do, so he don't make the same mistakes that I made and not walk away. Because when you don't walk away, you're like, I get so dragged. I love ranting, right? But I'm gonna say this right here.
Passionate, man. You're passionate.
10 and 90.
I love the answer.
10 and 90. Life is 10 and 90. It's 10% what actually happens. That's the smallest. It's not even 50-50. It's 10% what actually happens and 90% your reaction. That's the most good power you have. So somebody calls you a name, you kill a person. Now you got 25 years of life.
Yep.
Somebody call you a name, you fight the person. Now you have an enemy. Maybe you're on probation. Maybe you have an enemy that you might see at the drive-thru next time and they stab you. Your reaction to what happens is the most power you have. And yes, I want that to be instilled in my son. And I'll land with that.
And at some point, you just got something to lose. Like, at some point, you have developed and built up your life to the point where you got something worth holding on to besides just beating a nigga ass in the Walmart parking lot. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I feel like...
Yo, I'm sorry. Reese and 80. I just wanted to add on to it, but go ahead.
Yeah, Reese.
I'm the same. I tell my son all the time because he hangs out with his friends. And a lot of times my son is a bigger kid. He like a linebacker. So he called me on the phone. I'll be at work. He's like, Mom, they called me fat. And I'm like, okay, are you fat? He says, no. I said, okay, so then why worry about it? The only thing I always teach my son that anybody can say any words to you. It doesn't mean that it's true. And the only time I ever tell my son to defend himself is somebody is physically putting their hands on him. Because like I gave him an example one day. He had told me, oh, Mom, my friend called me the N-word, so I punched him in the face. And I said, okay. I said, so if they called the cops on you, who do you think gets in trouble? He said, we both do. And I said, no, you'll be the one that gets in trouble because you physically put your hands on somebody. So the only time I ever tell him to defend himself ever is physically, if somebody is physically hitting him. You're not going to be no bitch and just sit there and let somebody just beat on you for no reason. But if you could walk away from somebody if they say a name to you, you could be like, okay, that's not me, whatever, and just blow it off. There's multiple things. You're not my friend no more. I don't have to hang out with you if you're going to call me bad names like that. He calls me all the time, and I tell him the same thing. Don't be friends with people that are calling you names because that's not a true friend. Unless you're joking with your friends, then they're not your true friend. Your true friend's not going to walk around calling you fat, black, that your hair is moppy. They're not going to do that to you. So, no, I definitely do not tell him to react to when people say things to him because I was that person growing up. I am a heavier person. People used to call me fat all the time, and I automatically had put my hands on people. So in school, I was constantly getting in trouble because I was defending myself physically to somebody's verbal, and then I'm the one that gets in trouble. So being that's how I was raised, my dad always told me, if somebody says something to you, you do something about it. And then realizing, like, as I got older, like, damn, I actually got arrested one time because I beat somebody up because she said something to me. And now here I am being hauled off to the jail cell because of somebody saying something to me. So
I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, Reese. You're the only one that kept it 100. By you saying when I grew up, there were certain things said about me, and I reacted. I didn't walk away, and I respect you for that. I was trying to. That's why I asked that question. But you definitely did that.
But that's how
My
I
my fault.
learned as
My
I
fault.
got
80.
older.
My
That's
fault.
how I
80.
learned that that's not what I want for my son. But it took me
No, 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 no,
getting
no, no, no.
arrested.
Don't do nothing else. It was just that point that you made.
Yeah. But honestly,
That's
it took
it.
me getting arrested to understand that I don't have
It
to
was
physically attack
it
people
was the
when they
point. It was
verbally
the
said
point that
something
you
to me.
made. It was the point that you made. That's it. My fault. 80. You can go.
No, you good. Exactly. Um. Oh, you want me to answer the question? I don't have any kids,
Walk
but
away
would
or stand
I?
on 10.
Yeah, I want them to stand on 10 because I'm gonna. Uh, I want my child to go to, like, you ever seen like where the monk joint when they be training the kids, the monk, and them kids be going through it. They be face red, crying. They don't look like they want to be there. That's where I'm going to send my child, and I want when he comes home, he or she comes home, they will be able to put up with everything. But however, you won't be able to put up with them if you decide to want to harm them. So yeah, I want them to stand on all 10 because, like you said, man, I think Mo said it either in this episode or episode back. Men stop being men. Feel me? So I need my son to be a fierce warrior. You feel me? The question
Winning.
was respect. Question was, how does a parent teach respect before children encounter prejudice? I'm gonna say respect is like deodorant. Everybody should wear it. We're gonna move on to A. Ask
Wait,
before
wait, wait.
assuming.
Respect is like deodorant. Everybody wears it.
Everybody should wear some
Put that on a t-shirt.
with it. Next word we're gonna go with is A. Ask before assuming. Assumptions create walls. Questions connect bridges. My questions start with Reese. How do we understand instead of judge?
How do we understand instead of judge? I think that you're always taught to judge somebody else. And again, that goes back to how you're taught, how you're raised. Um, I was taught that, I was raised very poorly because I was one of seven kids. So I was not raised to really judge children, but then as I got older, I found myself judging people more. And I really realized that it was all stemmed based off of society and what I was looking at and what I was feeding my own mind with. And it, I feel like that everybody is different. There's not one person that's the same. There's not one person that's going to talk the same, look the same, act the same. We're all different. So you have to understand that we're all human and we may do things differently, but that doesn't make me any less of a person than you are. Um, so I didn't learn until I got older, and I still do it. I'm gonna keep it 100. I still judge people sometimes now. I'll be in the supermarket and be like, damn, like, and it's not something that I intentionally try to do, but it's just life. Like you don't even realize sometimes that you're judging somebody else until you're judged. And then when you're judged, you're like, why the fuck you talking to me like that? Why are you judging me? And then you didn't even realize you just did it earlier when you was walking in the supermarket.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna lie, I do judge people. I look at people and be like, damn, what the fuck you walk outside looking like that for?
And I
Like,
wanted to say that in the beginning because when we were talking about race and breaking it down, to add to your point, I was saying me and myself, we're all comedians. I could hear from sense of humor. Everybody on the panel, we all comedians. So whether like I said, when I heard dance, if I tell you to dance like a certain person, or you feel me, that's what's gonna come to mind. So yeah, some things come off jokey, but the certain stereotypes, like, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I just want
And you
to.
really don't realize that you're judging somebody when you make statements like that. Because I'm like, damn, why you walk out the house looking like that? And in my mind, I'm just like thinking, oh, you just dressed like, why you outside with holy shirts on and shoes that are lopsided? But internally, I'm not realizing I'm really just judging that person. So like, and it goes back. Like I teach my son all the time. Like the one day he said, "Oh, mom, we're high class because we're eating steak." I said, "Trent, we're not high class because we're eating steak." And he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "We're eating this nice thick steak." I said, "No, we work hard to eat that steak. That doesn't make it we're better than anybody." I said,
Hey,
"I go to work every day."
hold up. What steak was you eating?
We was eating a T-bone steak. I'm not gonna lie, we wasn't eating no like cheap steak, but
T-bone. That's the
in
richest
his
on your block.
like in his mind, we
I
was
got
eating
money,
high
money.
class. And when he said it to me, I was baffled. I really had to look at him and be like, Trenton, that doesn't make us high class because we're eating a T-bone steak.
Now, who
And
cooked it?
then, huh?
Who cooked it?
Dirty cooked it.
Ah, man, I wanted you to cook it. Ah, man,
But
forget him.
it was like that little thing right there in my mind. It realized that he probably judged somebody else because they couldn't eat the same steak that we was eating if he considered that high class. So I had to go back and think like, have I am like again, a lot of times that judging people is based on what you're taught or what you're allowing to be put into your own mind. Because when I'm scrolling TikTok or when I'm scrolling Facebook and I'm reading things and seeing things, you're automatically judging somebody else, even if it's funny. If somebody puts out a funny TikTok of them falling off the toilet, you're already judging that person because you're sitting there laughing at it. But it's like, I think there's a difference between judging somebody in a harmful way and judging somebody that's more of a joking manner or something that may be like, I don't know how to explain that part, but yeah, I think there's
I
a different
understand what you're
way.
saying. How
Do you
we're
kind of
trying to
understand what I'm
model
saying?
it.
I feel like there's a
I
malicious
understand.
way of judging somebody and a non-malicious way of judging somebody.
These
And
things
I'm
are
gonna
going
land
to
with that.
exist. Yeah, we're going to continue to make fun of people and do that. Like that's the dozens, and that's going to happen. And like I said, whether you got a disability or skin color, whatever, deformity, we do that. You
Yeah.
feel me? And all not all of it is malicious. However, we know that some people can take it there, and it's not specific race, but yeah,
There
we're
was a
gonna.
skit. There was a skit on Keenan and Pill where I don't know. I forgot the tall one's name, and right where the other partner was sitting in the wheelchair, and he was the comedian, and he kept on announcing joke on me. He was like, he had the whole shit, and then every time he told a joke, he told him his problem, but the crowd was like, keep going, keep going.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I've seen that one.
Yeah, you should say keep going, keep going.
That nigga was damn near crying.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So uh it's more or less like that.
Gotcha.
Just be mindful, right?
Yeah.
Everybody don't walk the same path, or you don't know what they can take.
Hold on. You asking a question? So then, hold on. Hold your thought. Chris, how do we understand instead of judge?
When you first asked it, the first thing that came to my mind was listen more than hear. If that makes sense. I feel like going back to how we have these talks, but a lot of people don't listen to understand. A lot of people listen to, or they hear enough so they can respond and make their rebuttal and make their retort. And I feel like that's where a lot of it gets messed up at. People don't sit and listen and really, really, really listen to what people are saying, what people are going through, the experiences, the ups, the downs, and I feel like that holds people back from really understanding what's going on outside of their own little bubble. And it can be trying. It can be exhausting. It can be draining to reach across the aisle and talk to somebody you may not normally talk to about a topic that might be uncomfortable to talk about. But I feel like that's where the progress comes from. So understanding, I believe, like I said, talk begins with listening more than hearing. And I land.
It's crazy because somebody told me one time, listen with the intent not to respond. And now, like hearing you say that, because I'm somebody, I respond to everything. I don't even let you finish your sentence, and I'm responding. So it's, that was a good point because I was told that listen with the intent not to respond.
Another good one that I was taught in that same vein was, oh damn, I just lost it. Oh, I forgot. It was a good one though. Let's see.
You got it.
I'll come back. Come back to me. I remember it.
Somebody will remember. Appreciate those gems. Gem. Speaking of gems, what do how do we understand instead of judge?
How do we overstand instead of judge?
Yes, sir. Under, inner, over.
By identifying. Because that's the way it works. If somebody pours, that means that somehow, some way they know that you've been in the same boat as them. So someone that talks to you, that they can identify of your, I mean, how you carry yourself, right? So it's just about identifying, knowing who fits. Because I don't know if this makes sense or not, but I had somebody in jail tell me how not to be in jail. And I was just overwhelmed by it. And this nigga's in his fucking, huh?
I said I was just a little overwhelmed trying to answer that. Like, I'm not.
Right.
Is that? I mean, can it? Is that a thought? Because we can learn from other people's mistakes, but if y'all both in jail, can you learn from somebody saying they out of jail? You don't want to come here.
And that's what I'm trying to reach at. Like he was like, when I was in the county, he's teaching me not to be in the county. Then I went to the big house. But I learned more from the big house than the county. But this nigga's in the county, nigga. I know you. I know you. Now you want to come to jail to try to teach me some shit that you're actually in jail for? Don't do this, young man, because you know what I mean? Just what I could never learn nothing from you. And I said that to this man. Playing poker, selling noodles. It was his hand against mine. And he told me, never judge a book by its cover. Some crazy shit. And nigga, what are you talking about? You're fucking 70 years old in prison, in jail, the county more or less. Just trying to, I learned a little bit more when I got the old head in prison. And then he taught me something. So I pay attention to what I want to pay attention to.
I kind of disagree with that, though. I think that just because you're in the same situation with somebody else doesn't mean that you can't learn from that person.
So you've been to prison?
No, I'm not saying prison specifically. I'm just
I was
saying.
talking about prison.
I understand that, but Mega's question to you was, if he was in prison with you, can he teach you about not being in prison? And all I was saying it was, in general, I don't agree with the statement that if I go touch the stove and burn my hand and I say, and you're touching the stove and I say, don't touch the stove, you're going to get burnt. It's kind of the same thing. All I'm saying is, again, that I don't think that just because somebody else is in the same position as you, that you can't learn something from that person.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I just said the person that was in the county with me, I didn't learn nothing from him. He tried to teach me something, and knowing this is the county, I'm going home. But in prison, you got to do a certain amount of time. So I got taught a little bit better instead of the person in in county. That's what I'm saying.
Actually, V, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. What interesting conversation. I've been listening on YouTube. Woo!
Appreciate you. Well, so you know what's
Hello,
Woo.
going
Mother
on. We
Earth.
at we at A. Ask before assuming. Assumptions create walls. Questions connect bridges. My question to you, V, is how do we understand instead of judge?
Well, I believe I heard the brother say, "Good evening, brother." I think this is our first time on a live. I haven't met you before, but I think I heard the brother say earlier about, listening to understand. Judging, I don't myself personally. That's one of my pet peeves. I do my best not to judge a person's lifestyle, but I do judge a person's character because I have to protect myself. There's a lot of judgment going on now, especially with people who are trying to live, or want to, or live alternative lifestyles. People who choose are on that path of life or choose that path of life. That's an example of a group of people that often gets judged because of that. And I believe to judge a person by the content of their character is more important than judging how a person lives. And there's discernment, which you have to have, and some people consider discernment judgment. I consider discernment observation, and so that I know how to exercise wisdom. I mean, you can watch a person, look at a person, and just discern. Okay, is this person good for me? Is this person not good for me? So that you can have that intuitive sense of what to do. But when it comes to judging another person, I don't believe that I should judge another person by their lifestyle, but I do believe that I should have discernment in regard to what type of person for the content of their character, for the sake of my own safety. That's how I live. But if you go to church on Sunday, cabaret all day Monday, ain't nobody's business if I do.
Are you
And I land the plane with that.
respectfully. Put your camera on. Try to get camera ready for just for like 10 seconds. Just you can turn it right back off. I just need it for the thumbnail. And Dirt, we're gonna go to you.
I,
I just need a quick camera on real quick though, just for the thumbnail.
we
Uh,
actually had like a little thing here with the electricity. So I've been helping the electrician. I'm like sweaty.
you ain't gonna see all camera ain't that HD. You ain't gonna see all that stuff. I got
Excuses,
you respectfully.
excuses,
No, this
Question.
is
excuses.
The
Just
question
need
is,
5 seconds.
can I get
Go
the
ahead, go ahead.
question again?
I got you, Dirt. My bad. Question was, hold on one second.
How do we
How
not
do we understand instead of judge?
how do we understand another judge? I already think I heard it before is identification. Um in recovery, I have learned that just because I don't stutter when I talk every time doesn't mean I need to judge a person who stutters because I still do my own version of that. It's because I don't step on shoes, complete shoes don't mean I don't trip people up. Once you realize that, I think, at least for me personally, how many passes I've been given, it makes it easier to give a pass. I think a lot of times we walk through life feeling like we're the one giving all the passes. We're the one giving all these people these chances to do these disrespectful things when you don't realize I was given a pass. You know, when I was a kid, I know I tried to fight several grown-ups. I did. Talk shit about their mother, talk shit about them, called them all type of bitch niggas, fuck you, da da da. And thank God them grown-ups didn't beat me up. They probably could have. They was grown men. I was a fucking kid. Talking tough to these grown-ups. You know, in various situations. So when somebody talks tough to me, and I might feel like I'm giving them a pass because I feel like I could beat them up or whatever, I realize I'm not the first person. I'm repaying the pass I was given. That's a lot of times we look for the person we give something to pay us back. You know what I mean? But you don't have to always pay back the person who gave something to you. You can pay back somebody else what was given to you. In the same way I've been given a chance to be forgiven and be accepted for who I am, I could do the same to somebody else because I am not perfect. And when you're not perfect, you can't choose what your imperfections may be. And I think once you realize that you're not perfect and that you've made mistakes, hopefully for me, at least for me personally, it's made it easier for me to realize that other people make mistakes and other people are not perfect. And that's what makes me less judgmental of other people. Even though they may have a different mistake than I made. Because that can be the confusion. Oh, I don't do that. So because I don't do that, I think, they did that. I would never do that. Well, it's things that you did that other people would never do. It definitely is just the identification that, like I said, just because we made different mistakes, it's still a mistake, and we're all mistake makers.
Thanks.
And I'll land with that.
Did everybody land on that?
Everybody but you.
Everybody. All right. How to understand instead of judge? Good question. We touched on ignorance. No, not good question. Like, oh, that's a good question. Ignorant. We touched on. I'm saying good question as in communication.
I caught it.
Good question. Ignorance. We touched on ignorance earlier, and ignorance we don't understand because we don't know. So with good questions uncovers good truth. Better than jumping to conclusions. You feel me? So encourage kids to ask questions, and if they're not allowed to ask questions, then this is the work that the parents have to put in. We talked about uh, homeschool. Not only homeschooling, you taking them to making them read different books, teaching them new different languages, taking them to different cultural events. You feel me? Juve. Not Juve. I want to say take kids to Juve, but you know. No, matter of fact, Juve is good because they do in the Caribbean. They go crazy. They go wicked, and it's not about as sex and provocative as we take it. It's cultural. It's a thing. It's like I said, the whole island is getting down, bro. Even when they in the thing in Louisiana, when they be going crazy, the
Mardi Gras.
Mardi
I
Gras.
about to say
Feel
the
me?
Mardi Gras.
Bro,
That's what it is.
when the bands be going through all down the street and going crazy,
And they wear skeletons and all that shit, right?
yeah, they do like two renditions of it because they got the Mardi Gras that they celebrate actually, and then they got some other joint that is just cultural from down there. But however, like I was saying, taking them to certain events to let them see pronounce certain either different foods is just being introduced to different things, man. That's it. This is how they perceive the world in a different light than Dirt was touching, projecting on what we think is the right way. You feel me? So I'll land with that. Next one is hold on one second. We are up to C. Choose character over color. Character predicts behavior. Skin color doesn't. We're gonna start with V. How do parents explain racism without creating fear or stereotype group? All right, Reese, we're gonna go to you. How do parents explain racism without creating fear or stereotype group? I think we touched on that low key a little bit in the last question.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
kind of did. Like, again, I don't teach my son to respond to people anything based off of their color at all or their skin. I always teach my children, my son especially, my daughter, she's older now, but um I always teach him that you don't judge people by the outside of them. You always judge people by the inside of them. And like he always says to me, and again, it goes back to what people say in school and stuff like that. Um, I've worked in a field for 20 plus years now, with handicapped people. So my son grew up in that, around people with disabilities. And it kind of goes back to like the same thing is that people are always being judged based on the outside of them versus the inside of them. So I think that one of the biggest things that we as parents have to do is always just to remind your children that somebody can look one way on the outside, but that doesn't define them as who they are as a person. And I always tell them we're human. We're all equal. We all eat, sleep, snore, everything the same. We don't do it differently. I don't hang in a tree outside and go to sleep. So again, I think that a lot of times it really just is you instilling in them that judge people by the inside and not by the outside.
I agree. V, are you here? Back with us? Back on the flight? Chris, we're gonna go to you. How do parents explain racism without creating fear or stereotype?
Um, whenever I've had to, it was just reality. You know what I mean? Like I've asked my son, like, do you see, like, you go to school and you see a lot of other white kids, and there's white kids in the neighborhood, and it's like when you see that, are they mean to you? Are they yelling at you? Are they calling you out your name? Well, no. Okay, so do you think, like, if one person has done it, do you think that's the norm? Do you think that's what everybody does, or is it maybe this just this one person or this individual? Is this maybe what they going through? So I also, thinking back to what I was saying about how, like, that one incident I told y'all about that I went through, I also asked him, if somebody uses that kind of language towards you, or if somebody says something bad about you, normally, are they usually better off than you are? Like, are they parents in a better position? Do they live in a different place than we do? Are we, like, I really try to instill that whole, I believe it was Dirty that was talking about how people overvalue, even though we all in the same place, how certain people overvalue certain things.
Yep.
And I try to get him to look through that kind of thing to where it's like, okay, somebody might say something about you being black, this and that, whatever, whatever. Does that make that person better than you? Or does that make you worse than that person? No, I passed the test and they failed the test or something like that. And it's like, okay, so you've already shown that you're not ignorant or inferior or slow or stupid or whatever the case may be. So whatever they had to say in that instance already is not true. You know what I mean? So don't absorb it. Don't take that in, and don't make that everybody else's problem too, because one person, even a group of people, can feel a certain kind of way, but that don't mean that's everybody. That don't mean, the girl next door that just happened to be white that they play around, outside, that don't mean she hates you too just because this person across town said something. You know what I mean? Or just because you and your other black friends might talk about this or joke about that or whatever the case may be, that don't mean that's how everybody feel. You know what I mean? So really reality, because you can look around and see, yeah, some people aren't gonna like you because of your skin, but everybody don't feel like that. And even some of the people that do feel like that ain't gonna say it to your face. They not gonna bring it up. They not gonna confront you. They not gonna call you out your name. They not gonna bring it up. So reality.
Exactly. Dirk, how do
Yes,
parents explain racism without creating fear or stereotypes?
I think don't explain that it's something that everybody has to deal with, but don't base it on experiences or other people's experiences. Just explain that it's something that people do, that people are racist. Some people are like that, and that is an individual idea and mindset, and that you can rise above it instead of being a part of it. That you don't have to be a victim to it. That really is really how it just shows their lack of intelligence, and that things are getting better. And that perfection is something that's hard to achieve, but progression, there has been progression, and to let them know that it's good to be alive when you are now. You're coming into a planet that is better than the people you knew. Not better than the people you knew, but better than the people who were here before you, because of some of the things you knew, right? Yeah, better than the people that was here before you, and you have more opportunities. And if you use your opportunities in the right way, you can rise above it. It's not something that can hold you down. And I'll end with that.
Exactly. V, you back with us? Appreciate that answer. Um,
I never answered.
how do parents explain racism without
I never
creating
answered.
fear?
Yes,
Oh,
I'm
oh, my
here.
bad,
I
Jem.
couldn't get my phone to open up.
My bad. My bad, Jem. Go ahead. Jump out.
No, let Mother
No,
Earth
no,
go.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you missed quite a few. I hear your
No, I've been
tape.
listening the whole time. But go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
Her button was jammed up.
Uh,
All right.
uh, 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 um, say it again, please, brother.
Gotcha. How do parents explain racism without creating fear or stereotypes?
By lying. Like, there's no way in the world that it stops when your kid is 18,
Mm.
right? So once again, and I piggyback off myself, teach them home. That's it. If you deny them access and then they get the access outside, you lied to them. And I heard a lot of my brothers and sister contradict themselves. But I'm gonna do it this way, and I'm gonna. Outside is outside. How, like on this panel, certain people grew up a different way. I grew up this way. Um, don't lie to your kids, because when you do, and I'm getting older, we always gonna come back to the source and ask questions. Well, why'd you do this? Why'd you say that? Why do you think that was? And then we're 15, 16 years old, and we go to our parents, and their parents are shocked because we know certain words. How'd you know that word? I'm paying attention. Do not lie to your kids about the world because it's cold, it's isolated, it's unfiltered. it's it's a situation you don't want to be in, being lied to, because I what I had to learn how to fight from the streets. Granted, however, where I was, there's uncles and there's brothers and his cousins and boom boom. That wasn't in my home. That was outside. How to fight. I was just being shielded, and there goes that word, shield. It's not a good. It's not a good, and it faults you too. Like, damn, I fell. Fuck, I should have did. I could have. I would have. But now I'm dealing with the outcome. I land. My sister's on. She showed her face. Get your money.
I love you.
And I love you too, Mother Earth.
How do parents explain racism
So that I love
without
you.
fear or stereotype?
Is that question being posed to me?
Yes, ma'am.
I can't hear you. Just
Need it one more time.
yes. Can you repeat that, please?
How do parents explain racism without creating fear or stereotype?
When I consider how I learned about racism, I learned about racism watching Roots as a girl. Is actually how I learned. At that particular time in the Black community that I grew up in, we just didn't talk about it. The adults of that era were very protective of trying to make sure children could hold on to their joy for as long as they could. But there were just a lot of things that were not, around children and in front of children at that time. Even back then, adults didn't smoke in front of children, at least in the area, in the community I grew up in. They didn't smoke cigarettes or anything else in front of children. You didn't drink hard liquor in front of children. Um, you may drink wine and beer in front of children. So, there was always this protection of trying to keep children for as long as they can be children. And I learned about racism when I saw Roots. My grandmother was always teaching me things, like no disrespect, but she would tell me about, the Caucasus Mountains and how, white people were found, by African people in the Caucasus Mountains. And so she was always making sure I was aware of something, but she never mentioned racism per se, but that they were people that were different from us. At least I can't recall off the top of my head anyway. And when I did learn through Roots, about history as slaves in this country, it changed my perspective from that day forward. Or, and it changed the way I viewed um, the world I lived in, because I knew that the society that I was in is going to be different because, and actually, did not like white people for that. And I began to realize that, that society was different if you were black. But if I was to teach, even my brother, we never really had, my brother never got in trouble, but um, usually we learn through history, through history books, through history, learning about, influence of people like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And I would just teach my kid historically about history. And then as today is concerned, going forward, um, to recognize that you don't allow someone outside of you or your family or your community to define you. You define yourself. And once you embrace that, you become powerful. But if you live by the labels of other people, you're always going to be subjected to they label you. I think as one of my favorite spiritual teachers, Eckhart Tolle, he said something like, you can put poison in a jar labeled honey, but it still doesn't make the content honey. It makes it poison. And that's what I mean by when you allow somebody else to label you. To me, the N word is a label. It's not an identity, but we've embraced it as an identity. I don't particularly use the word myself a lot. It slips out because sometimes I'm around people that use it. But I personally, I forget that the word even exists. But because that's how in my environment this just doesn't exist. I am more offended. I feel if someone projects a label like the N word towards me, um, these days, how I feel like is if a white person was to call me the N word, I just look at him and shrug it off and just walk away. I would be more offended if a black person called me the word because it's like you're affirming something that was never meant for us in the first place. But if we're going to rebrand the word, let's rebrand it all the way, and I would help my children and the children in my family and my community to understand that historically there has been a relationship we've had with these people that are different from us, and this is what the story is. But going forward, you you choose your own identity and you walk in that power and you don't let anybody else label you differently. And I land with that.
Actually. um, Question was, how do parents explain racism without creating fear or stereotypes? Everybody touched on it. I don't want to, beat a dead horse, but um, dishonesty, generosity, courage, kindness, evil, that comes in all colors. So judge people by their chapter, not the cover. Next one, final is E. Educate every generation. Education isn't about making children guilty, it's about making them wiser. We're going to start with V. Is how do families talk honestly about history?
Okay. Can you repeat the question, please?
How do families talk honestly about history?
Well,
How do we approach
going, kind of like continuing what I was saying, previously. I remember after watching Roots, I don't even know if my mom remembers this, but I remember going to my mother and saying, "Mommy, we were slaves," and prior to that, it was like, slavery was something you saw in the Super Friends after a villain captured somebody, And I know I'm dating myself with the Super Friends, but who remembers the Super Friends? and and so I just didn't know that slavery was something. Okay, I didn't know slavery was something real. Like people experience that, and um, I remember my mom, because my mother is light skinned, so I remember her saying, well, this is how I became light skinned, this is how we became different complexions because of different things that happened with the slave masters and the slaves. And gosh, it's such a thing, you know, it's such a tough thing. But that's the conversations that I've had, and also recognizing that it wasn't just, like that's how we evolved from slavery. It was ooh, I have to pass on this one. I'm getting a little emotional.
Reese,
But I'll come back to it. I'll come back to it.
respectfully. Reese, how do families talk honestly about history?
I don't lie to my son or my children. If they ask me something flat out, I just answer the question based off of my knowledge of things. Um, but I don't think it's something that we should not teach our children about. Um, I don't I don't know. It's kind of a hard question in the sense of it really depends on your parenting. If it's something that you want to bring to the table and discuss up front, or if it's something that you wait for your children to come to you about and you respond to it. Um, I always try and teach my son about what we do now and for the future versus the past, is that's my normal thing, but I don't lie or shy away from anything that he's going to ask me related to the past of whatever it is. Um, that kind of is a tough question, but I think just be honest, and that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, with Dirt and Jim when they were saying like, don't shield your children from something because they're going to go out in society and it's going to be brought up at some point in time. So just be honest. If they come to you and ask you something, your job is to teach them, and we teach them the right thing and not the wrong thing. And I'm gonna land with that.
Hey yo, because piggyback off us three, Dirt, me and you, they have Google, bro. This is 2026. So
Yeah.
I would rather get get to ask the question, and if I know it, I'm gonna do my due diligence and tell you. You're still gonna fact check. So I'd rather do it together. So what I'm saying, you now see that I'm right. Result whatever your question was, right? Whatever your question was, you're still gonna do your due diligence as if you that type of child. Like it's more to it. So I'd rather do it together. You feel me? And once again, just being there, homeschooling. I don't want to call it homeschooling. Just teaching the environment that we live in now, basically. And it's not so much the past tense. Shout out to Dirt. It's not so much the past tense is you can Google that later, but right now your question is this. So I'm gonna give you what it is. Because if I lie, once again, if I lie, they're gonna fucking fact check it. It's the world of internet. I land.
Um, Chris, yeah, E, right? Um, how do families honestly talk about history?
Um,
It's the last one, y'all. We bathroom breaking and then we closing it out. Oh no, I gotta go too,
So a lot of a lot of
man.
a lot of when I talk to my son about history, a lot of it is letting them know that we probably know less of history than we do know, if that makes sense. Meaning, like, first of all, I don't know everything. You know what I mean? I don't know everything. Like, we know the highlights, we know the main bits and pieces, but a lot of that stuff is lost to time. You know what I mean? And
I
then
hear you.
but beyond that, I'm not a historian. So as a man, I'm totally okay with being like, I don't know. Let's find out together. And
Same.
like Gemini said, you know what I mean? I mean the information is there. So a lot of the times if I don't know, we'll go and sit down together and I'll be like, yo, maybe we'll crack open the book. Usually we'll pop up Google. Let's be real. I'm gonna be real about it. Usually we'll pop up Google and we'll ask Google. And then but what I try to do beyond that though is I try to teach him to do his own research. Because sometimes you'll type in Google, and especially now with AI, you'll type something in Google, and Google will give you the
Yeah.
wrong answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Definitely.
I teach him, even if I teach you something about history, if you go to school and learn something about history, if you at the library and the librarian teach you something about history, go back and learn about it for yourself. Find you your own book. Find your own
Yeah.
sources. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And look it up for yourself and find out for yourself. Even if I tell you something, if I tell you the moon is made out of cheese, go look that up and make sure, I'm pretty trustworthy, but the moon is not made out of cheese. So you might want to go and look that up and just make sure for yourself. Because people will tell you, and this go back to what Gemini was saying about how once you leave the home, you know what I mean? So I get what he's saying about like it might not necessarily be like what people are calling homeschooling per se, to where you have like a whole curriculum at home and everything, and you teach them mathematics and all of that. In the end, like yeah, a lot of people do that. And shout out to them people and respect to them people because that's the whole job in itself. But also, it's also just teaching your kids little basic stuff. Like your teachers might teach them this happened on this day in 1968. Go back and check that. You know what I mean? The teacher is probably right. The teacher ain't got no reason to lie to you, but if she is, you'll find out on your own and you'll be able to tell. And then next time you'll be able to, hey, but I looked into it and I found these sources from, that same time period that also said that like the newspaper said this was the greatest thing that ever happened to the United States of America, but the actual people in the report was saying that they wished it would never happen. So like, do your own research, admit that you don't know stuff, be okay with being able to say, I don't know. I never learned that. I'm still figuring it out. I'm still learning stuff myself. Let's find out together. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people be like, yo, my granddaddy taught me this when I was da 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 da, and this is the law. And granddaddy was wrong, and daddy was wrong, and you was wrong, and now you teaching them wrong. And son, go and do your research. That's how you teach history. That's how you learn history. Research. Find out for yourself the stuff that piques your interest about history. If you feel like the president is telling you some BS, go ahead and recheck the facts. You know what I mean? And so that's really, to me, the core, especially when I'm teaching my son, the core is find out for yourself.
Exactly. Derek, how do families talk
Oh, and I land. I'm
honestly?
sorry.
How do families talk honestly about history?
History is his story. You wasn't there, I wasn't there. We could read a million books about it. You can have one book that says one thing, you have one book that says another. You can get you could, I'd say, treat it like a storybook. Treat that shit like Cinderella to some extent, because there's no way to verify it. It's a book, you can learn from it, you can gain some information, but it's less important. It's not reality. You're not riding a fucking horse. Okay? You're not doing that. If somebody talking about how they rode a horse to a library, you could drive a car to the library. Be more focused on creating your own history than studying others. You have your legacy to leave. Stop worrying about everybody else's legacy and stop being so intrigued by it. Learn about your own legacy, create that, and leave that. Because if you too concerned with what happened before, like I said, it's going to have you stuck. Don't fall down that rabbit hole. I know too many people I know who get stuck down that rabbit hole and can't get out. It's nothing. I watch history documentaries. I watch shit, but take it with a grain of salt and you know what I mean, a slice of cheese and some bread. Because the shit that you could watch 3 documentaries based on the same topic, and them shits that sound so real, and each one could be a different way to tell it. I seen a documentary that said aliens built the pyramids. What? I seen it. Supposed to be historic. It was on History Channel. It was on the History Channel. So it's like, should I believe aliens built the pyramids? Should I believe that? Also in history, what I've known is that they literally during wars burned people books and all type of shit to erase some history. So that means you're already reading something that could have been tainted and been took away. So just know that let's learn your family history is probably not even we try. That's what I'm saying. That shit is so awkward. I don't even know my family history. I need to freaking find that out before I try to teach my kids some shit. Before I teach them about somebody else's history, I don't even know my fucking history. And honestly, I promise you, I probably don't give a fuck to learn it. I'm happy about my own self. But I can't even tell him who his uncle and he tell you, let's learn your family tree. Let's learn that. Let's fucking get that's our family's history, where we came from, where we going, where we been. Let's at least learn that. Maybe we can find that more accurately. Actually, who your uncle was and who your auntie was, and how they worked at a restaurant and owned one, and maybe learn from your family. We all are family in a way, but really learn your own history. Be focused on the things that you are actually more connected with than all these other random fucking stories. Cause I'm not going to see Odyssey. I don't give a fuck about that. But that shit could be a historic movie to some people. So I'm gonna land with that.
School at home. Look, school at home, right? And that movie was fire.
Steve, did you want to revisit?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with Dirty when he said, it is his story. Um, I do feel it's important to know you have to cross-reference. Their truth is not just something that is a random fact in any given documentation or books or what have you. Truth is actually a frequency, is something you can also feel. And so I always use my feelings to help me discern because they have never failed me. And at first, when I started discovering this thing that was happening within myself, um, I didn't, I was young when I first started having it. But then as I got older, and once I have that feeling, I know it's true. And I don't have to doubt it. It guides me through a lot of my experiences. And your heritage, your legacy is something you build on. And when I had a driving service in New York City, a lot of my clients were wealthy. And something that I learned from some of my wealthier clients is they make sure that each generation is aware of the contribution of their forefathers and mothers. And they don't start over every single generation. They build upon what the previous generation did. There is an advantage to knowing who your forefather and foremothers were and what contribution they made. We are all interconnected, whether you're a direct descendant of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, for example. You may not be, but have we benefited from the contributions these men have made to the society we live in? Yes, we have. You may not know who Nikola Tesla is, but have you benefited from what Nikola Tesla has contributed to society? Yes, you have. And so, even in the GPS, they use that as an analogy. Um, you have to have the components of where you've been and where you are to know where you're going. And if you don't have a clear history or the path, I definitely agree with the history. I'll say heritage or what has happened in previous generations is to me is very important. I have made an effort to learn some of my family tree. I have a picture of my family tree right here. I have a picture on the wall of my great grandmother, my great grandfather, and it makes me feel powerful to know as I can go far back as my great great grandmother and who was a slave. And I have a picture of her firstborn, who was her daughter and the slave master's daughter. And so um, the thing that is very fascinating is my grandmother, if she was alive, should be like 105, I think, or 100, maybe 110. However, knowing her gives me reference to 110 years. And the relationship I have with her and her sisters, them teaching me about my great grandparents and the values that my great grandparents instilled in them, that actually gives me access to about 200 years, direct access, because I am connected to people who are connected to the last 200 years. And 200 years can go real fast when you break it down. Once you get past 40 and you're getting into your 50s, you're half of a century. You're already connected to someone besides yourself. You've lived a half of 100 years and you know people older than yourself. So you're already connected to 100 years past. So you can actually sit down and have a conversation with a baby boomer, a black baby boomer at that, and ask them, where were you when Martin Luther King was shot? You know, where were what were you doing when you got the news when Martin Luther King was shot? That's real time. That's real information. And your mother or your grandmother or your aunt or uncle can probably say, yeah, I remember when Martin Luther King got shot, we were doing this, this, and this. And then what happened after that? And then you may not be making history, but all of us are a part of history. And we are interconnected, whether we are aware of it or not. And if you thank you, Dirt. No,
I'm
you
just
know.
talking to my dog.
And so
Moving.
you you're talking about a legacy, but legacy comes from previous generations as well. And have we as Black people, if we recognize our value, our intrinsic value, we will be building upon things that our previous generation has done instead of everybody else profiting and having access to our legacy and our heritage and our culture. And we have no protection over our own intellectual property. And everybody's profiting, and we're not, because we're not taking ownership of ourselves, our heritage, our history, our legacy. So even if you're saying, okay, I'm telling my child to build a legacy from this day forward, then you're also saying if history is not valid, one day you're going to be history. So you're going to be not valid either. So what's the sense in building a legacy at all? Because one day you're going to be the past. To your children, you're going to be the past. To your grandchildren, you're going to be the past. So if you've established something and you've built something for them to build on, you will become history to them. So are you not valid? you know and if they have no recollection or respect for what you've done, then they'll squander anything you've built today because you're not valid in the future. Who you don't matter because you're going to be in the past. So it's it's not about, and it's like the past is like the tree, and we are the branches and going extended to the leaves. The youth are the leaves. A lot of our youth are like leaves now being tossed by the wind in every which direction because they're not connected to the tree. They're not connected to the roots. And I do feel history is important. I do feel you definitely have to cross reference. I cross reference a lot of things, and I take everything like a grain of salt, but I do make an effort to know it because I feel it's important. You just can't throw the past away. And even in the when stuff hits the fan and people get all miserable and suicidal and depressed and all the other things that can go on with life, what's the first thing people do? They call on something higher, God, Allah, whatever you want to call it. Where do you get the teachings of these people? Jesus Christ, Buddha? You go to an ancient teaching. That's the past. If it wasn't valid, none of these religions would exist today. If the past wasn't valid, why call on Jesus Christ? He's in the past. Why call on Buddha, Allah? They're in the past. Why be Hindu? Why be Tao? Be Confucianism? It's in the past. But whenever anybody life get messed up, you calling on that God, you calling on something, and the teachings are usually from the past. So the past has a place. It's not to be lived on or lived in, like Dirty said, but it is to be considered so that you can build upon it. Without roots, a tree can't stand. So the roots are valid. And if they the deeper they dig, the stronger the tree. And I land with that.
Excellent. Yeah, man, history is not the trap, it's the map. Man, bathroom break, man. I want to thank everybody for flying out with today. With special guest Chris in the building. He popped out
Nice
with
to meet you,
man.
Chris.
Yes, yes, good brother, good brother.
Definitely got your papers today, man. You know what I'm saying? Walk away every show. So they can put that on your wall right quick. Dig. Tell them where you got it from. Send some people you did.
Sure.
Yeah, we're gonna hit this commercial break because I know people gotta go. Because I know I got to go. Yeah, we go commercial and then we're gonna close this thing on now. Appreciate y'all. Definitely, man. Then we
Appreciate
crash into
you.
we land.
I appreciate all of you.
Yo, great show, man. Love everybody on the panel, man.
Right, for respect. With last thoughts, any last thoughts before we go to commercial? Right, commercial, y'all.
This is BK.
Mike Payne.
Carly.
34 and a half. Hot boy Shaq. Tyrell. And I play Tyrell.
And Monica.
Jay.
Asu.
Mo. Big Prince in that series Make Some Noise.
You gon' hear me now, feel me now. I'm 10 toes, no small talk, straight to the pen.
Throughout the season, you see him going through where in the beginning he wanted to just do his music and work a regular 9 to 5, but as things continue to happen to him, he has to respond to the environments that he gets put in.
Damn. Nah, fucked up, cuz. Yo, my bad, bro. Where the fuck was you at anyway? I was trying to get a little bottle or something, type of weapon that even the odds, it was more than us.
A lot of people called me and was like, when they see me, I like to say I retreated, which is something people do in war all the time. They retreat to, regroup. Another word I like to use when I think about that scene. People thought I was like, punani.
Nigga, you must not know who the fuck I am, nigga. This my city. Y'all beat his ass. Get up, bitch ass. You ain't talking niggas. We outside.
I had people say, you just being you. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't no bully though. I ain't no bully, but yeah, don't take me there, bro. But other than that, yeah, just I'm that nigga, and I definitely feel like I'm that nigga. You supposed to feel like that. You feel me? Yeah.
Damn, she fine as hell. What the fuck you doing with this bum ass nigga? Might well come to my section.
Nigga, I wouldn't give you the time of day if you paid for it. Like she's a good person at heart. I just think she's in the wrong career field. You be surprised what type of men I see on a daily. Or what? That make you nervous? You scared?
Nah, not even.
I think you kind of see her go from like a stable person to just kind of really wanting to.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Like I said, I want to thank everybody for flying out with us, man. Appreciate you on the panel and you at home if you stayed this long, man. Thank you, man. You're part of the flight family right now, so you already know what you got to do. Comment, like it, and share it, man. Please share this. Get this out to the algorithm. And if you got hype on you, use your hype, man. I'd appreciate that. Definitely. Every generation leaves behind something. And this is my gift to you. The race system. Respect, ask, choose character, and educate. Every generation leaves behind more than money or property. It leaves behind habit, language. It leaves behind habit, language, stories, attitudes. And these children are learning from what we praise, what we laugh at, what we ignore, and how we treat people who are different from us. Back in. And how we treat people, how we different. Hold on, let me start all over. Sorry. Every generation leaves behind more than money or property. It leaves behind habits, language, stories, attitudes. And these children are learning from what we praise, what we laugh at, what we ignore, and how we treat people who are different from us. No family gets everything right, but every family can choose what to pass forward. So you should pass forward courage instead of fear. Pass forward honor instead of lack of knowledge. Let's pass forward truth instead of stereotype. The goal isn't to pretend our history never happened. The goal is to learn from it so we don't repeat its worst chapter. A healthy society isn't created because everyone thinks the same. It's created because people commit to treating one another with dignity, and then even if they disagree. Let's teach the children to value character, tell the truth, reject stereotypes, and stand up for one another. Let's build highways, not burn bridges. The future isn't inherited by accident. It's modeled on purpose. Protect your peace. We'll see you next week. And thank you for flying with us on Land Your Plane.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your destination. Please remain seated until you have properly processed. Keep your mind clear until next time.
Land your plane, land your plane, land your plane.